Welcome into our live 2024 NFL trade deadline coverage. I am Tom Downey. We will be here for the next 2.5 hours, call it 2 hours, 45 minutes, and change for some post-deadline reaction. We are simulcasting on both the Cowboys Report YouTube channel and the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Since I'm in charge today, we'll have both streams going on at the same time. And we have maybe the biggest trade of the day that just went down. The Washington Commanders have traded for Marshon Lattimore in a deal with the New Orleans Saints. A bit of a blockbuster, 4 picks involved here. Marshon Lattimore, of course, going to Washington. A 5th-round pick from the Saints going to Washington as well. The Saints are getting a 3rd, a 4th, and their 6th-round pick that was initially involved in, I believe it was the John Ridgeway trade. I know Pelissero tweeted at Hassan Ridgeway. I'm 99% sure it's John Ridgeway because that's the one who was traded as part of the Commanders Saints deal. So a bit of a blockbuster trade here, the 4th trade of the day. You guys can vote who you think won the trade in the pin poll and in the comments. C for the Commanders, S for the Saints. Marshon Lattimore and a 5th for a 3rd, 4th, and a 6th. A pretty big haul in the end for the Saints. They don't have a lot of great options in terms of the money saved. It kind of is what it is. But the Commanders giving up quite a bit as they are very clearly in the running to make some noise in not just the NFC East, but in the NFC this year. Now, injuries have been a concern in years past, but that is noteworthy. So who won the trade? C for the Commanders, S for the Saints. I don't think either team lost this deal. I do like it, though, for the Saints. To get 3 picks, 2.5 picks, if you want to count the flip there, I think that's valuable. Who won? C or S in the comments section of today's show. As we have another trade that has just gone down. The Pittsburgh Steelers, at long last, have added a wide receiver. They are getting Mike Williams from the Jets in exchange for a 2025 5th-round pick. So 2 trades here, kind of rapid fire all in a row. We've already up to 5 on the day. We had set the over-under at 8.5, and we're very much on pace to get to that one there. So sticking with the pin poll right now on the Chat Sports side, the Cowboys Report live stream has a different pin poll, but that's for a different conversation we'll get to later on in today's video. Who won that trade? C for the Commanders, S for the Saints. We'll spend some more time on the Mike Williams trade here in just a minute as well. We do have a super chat coming in from Not Jeremy Chugs Burner on the Chat Sports stream. It says, why the hell are we buyers and not sellers? A 4th? Well, let's go to the Jonathan Mingo trade details. That's what this is in reference to. Update our headline to get Mike Williams in there. The Cowboys earlier today sent a 4th-round pick to Carolina in exchange for Mingo and a 7th-round selection, which I just don't think is a good move by Dallas Cowboys. Mingo has not been good after being a top 40 pick 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, I guess we'll call it. You're buying low but paying not buy low prices. I don't like that move. The grade this trade, by the way, is the pinned poll on the Cowboys Report live stream. Again, we are simulcasting right now. 11% voting A/B, 31% voting C. Oh, sorry. Nope, back to 31%. It keeps changing. 27% voting D, 30% voting F, with those numbers fluctuating around a little bit. So Mingo to the Cowboys for a 4th-rounder. We'll come back to the Mike Williams trade more in depth in a second. Let's talk about today's sponsors here. Make sure we check out that one there. Some trades coming in. We'll break them all down here in a minute. But a couple of quick notes for you guys on today's show. Is that the right one? Is the one we start with today? It is... Yeah, but game time's first, I think. Let me double check that. Yes, Game Time first. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. It is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. Game Time has a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. It's also made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars of awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to up to 100 times your cash. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. The most recent trade is the Mike Williams deal. The Pittsburgh Steelers getting Williams in exchange for a 2025 fifth-round pick, which the receiver market's been, as it is many years, weird. You had Jonathan Mingo go for a 4th, Amari Cooper for a 3rd, Devontae Adams goes for a 4th/a 3rd, the Jets getting a 5th, or 3rd/5th, a second it was, I don't even remember anymore. It is a 5th-round pick that should be a later-ish 5th-round pick. Mike Williams is owed basically the vet minimum the rest of the way, so it's pretty affordable there. I don't think many people are surprised by this. I think there was a lot of expectations that Mike Williams was going to be flipped from the Jets to the Steelers at some point in the not-too-distant future. Looks like there's a stray line break. You want to tell Sam that? Mike Williams heading to the Steelers. The Jets getting a 5th round. Actually, that's probably is how it's built now that I think about it. Unless you can do that one. That'd be perfect. There you go. A 5th-round pick to the Steelers, or from the Steelers to the Jets, Mike Williams. Probably going to get some more playing time, as Pittsburgh's got some big bodies on the outside now. George Pickens. You got Mike Williams now, too. I don't know if Rome Wilson's ever going to be healthy. They'll use a bunch of two tight end personnel. A lot of vertical shots coming up for this team. A lot of vertical shots are going to be coming. And that is, I don't think, a surprise to anybody necessarily. So grade the trade. You can mention both sides here, by the way. A, B, C, D, or F. We're up to, that's 5 trades now, right? 5 trades today is where we're at. 5. I'd put the over under 8.5 because that's what we had yesterday on trade, or last year on trade the deadline day. Boy, I think we're going to get to the more than in the not too distant future. Grade that trade. A, B, C, D, or F. JDN88 on the Cowboys Report live stream says B for the Steelers. B's from Cam and CB over there on the Chat Sports stream. Joe got a C. A German QB has A. Tommy Gunna's got A. Nicholas Holmes says F. San Fran 49 says C. Jersey Sword says B. Yantana Hagos says B. Mike says A. Grayson says F. David's got A, B, B, C, B, C, C, A. I think it's just solid overall. I think it makes a lot of sense to the Jets. Like, they are kind of light on draft capital. They kind of need to get some more in there. So going down that path, I think, is logical. Pittsburgh missed out on a lot of different receivers. Every single player that was available or potentially available at wide receiver, Pittsburgh had gotten linked to. It was Devontae Adams. It was Brandon Ayuk. It was DK Metcalf. There was the day of CeeDee Lamb that was never going to happen for Pittsburgh. Cooper Kupp had gotten linked. Some Steelers radio guys had been like, DK Metcalf was an option. Never materialized in that fashion. Getting Williams makes sense for more of a win-now team. I think it's maybe a round earlier than what I would have preferred, but it is who it is. Or is what it is. Now, we have a super chat menu for today's live show. We'll keep it simple. 3 options for you guys. First off, in general, any super chat on both the Chat Sports stream and the Cowboys Report live stream, you will get a shout out for. Don't worry about that one at all. We will give you a shout out. $10 though, we'll talk more in depth about your team. Now again, we're simulcasting on Cowboys and the NFL or on the Chat Sports stream, so we will talk Cowboys. But if we get $110 super chats that are not about the Cowboys, we'll talk about the Cowboys there. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong. That is cheaper than what it normally is on the Cowboys Report. We've got a decent amount of shots left, and it's like 16 or something beers left, something in that range. So we should be fine. If we go through all of those, hey, what are you going to do? Now, before we get to any more super chats, or before we get more super chats, this is your first opportunity. And for the most part, I will take these from the Chat Sports stream. But I want you guys to shout out your favorite NFL team right now. And whichever team has the most, let's do it that way. Whichever team has the most, and that includes the Cowboys Report live stream for this one, we will spend some time talking about. So I expect a lot of Cowboys comments on the Cowboys stream. The Chat Sports stream, where we're simulcasting both right now, very much able to overpower it. So, shout out your favorite team for me in the comments section as we approach the 2.5-hour mark of today's NFL trade deadline. Before the NFL trade deadline. Comment your favorite team right now. I see Vikings, Giants, Denver, Lions, Saints, Falcons, Browns, Niners, Patriots, Raiders, Steelers, Falcons, Denver, Falcons, Giants. A lot of Falcons in there. Some Browns coming in. Jags, Lions, Vikings, Giants. I don't know, Chris, who do you think has the most on the Chat Sports side? I kind of think Falcons here. I think Falcons. Well, there's a lot of Cowboys on the Cowboys stream. So let's talk Falcons here. Then we'll show some love to the Cowboys Report live stream as well. And then we'll hopefully have a new trade before that happens. Let's go to the Falcons first. I don't know if we'll see much action today. I think that the defense is where you would likely be trying to focus your efforts. They got some pass rush against the Cowboys. That's valuable. Dallas is also terrible, so maybe you can't read too much into that. I think edge is still an area of concern. Finding help in the secondary, especially a corner, wouldn't be a bad idea. I haven't seen this. I dropped my pen like an idiot. Haven't seen details on the full Grady Jarrett injury concern yet. If he misses time, that's got to be figured out in terms of, do you go get another defensive lineman if you can find one there. I don't think you'd see Chase Young get dealt in division. The Falcons should be a team that's looking at Azeez Ojulari. Za'Darius Smith is obviously now a member of the Detroit Lions. That one happened this morning. Dominique Robinson, I think, is available if a team wants him, but he's kind of fallen out of favor in Chicago, so wouldn't necessarily expect massive impact on that front. But I think defense is where this Falcons team should consider. The offense is very fun. They do a lot of simple stuff at a high level, and I mean that as a compliment. They are very much in pole position in the NFC South, as many had predicted after the Kirk Cousins acquisition, and looking solid long-term as well with Michael Penix behind him. Got a super chat, $2 from Chris on the Mike Williams trade. Metcalf would have been great. Williams is a joke. So not Tim Caliber player. I don't think Seattle was willing to shop DK Metcalf. They could revisit that in the offseason, but they already bought on Ernest Jones, so I wouldn't get your hopes up for the Seahawks selling in a major way at the deadline. Metcalf would have been great. I thought that was always a bit of a stretch. It would have been extremely expensive. I do think it's a little bit of an overpay to get Mike Williams for a fifth, but we're talking like maybe a half round or a sixth, and at that point, it's probably not that big of a deal. It is not the worst receiver trade that's gone on today. But I do think I prefer the Jets side of that. Pittsburgh needed a wide receiver, though, and it was profoundly thin, the wide receiver market. We'll see if Thielen gets moved. Adam Thielen, the Panthers wide receiver, but he's been banged up this year. They somehow got a forward for Jonathan Mingo, and he's not as good as Adam Thielen. He's under more team control, sure. So I'm kind of curious how that could have all played out in the end. If he does end up getting moved, excuse me. But I do think it's a little bit early for Metcalf, or for much, I should say, for Mike Williams to get out there. By the way, quick Cowboys note for you guys here. Of note, Andrew Booth is being released by the organization. So that's one roster spot being cleared to make room for Jonathan Mingo. There will probably be another one to make room for Brandon Cooks coming back from IR in theory. And I think that would be Dak Prescott going to IR. But we'll see. Now, if you want your team to make a trade today, then like the video. We want to be the most liked live stream out there, both on the Cowboys Report and on our Chat Sports live stream. Cowboys Report is only down by 30 likes, despite having half the views of the live NFL trade coverage on Chat Sports. We're simulcasting both right now. So both streams, I am asking you guys to like today's video, if you have not already done so. We were going to go live at 1:30. And we decided to go live just a little bit earlier because that one just made sense as far as I'm concerned there. So like the video if you haven't already. We'll stick with the Cowboys Report live stream rules. Every 500 likes on today's show, I will do a shot. That is each individual stream. So if it gets to 500 on each, that's 2 shots. We will not count them because then you're trying to make me do math, and I'm not good at math. I don't really want to do math. So like the video if you guys haven't already done so. A $2 super chat coming in from the Chat Sports stream. There is also one on the Cowboys Report we'll get to here in a second. Doctor, you think Denver gets Bo a playmaker? Well, I am not a doctor. I am not intelligent enough to be a doctor. Not even like the fake doctor where you get a doctorate and you claim to be one. Anyway, insult a lot of people. I apologize. I don't think Denver's going to buy a playmaker. I think that they're kind of just going to let things ride. I could even see like Denver trading away a Greg Dulcich, who they haven't really played a whole lot of as of late. They're in a solid-ish spot. The running back market, you're probably going to let it ride with what you got. Tight end, you're fine. I could see them trading away Marvin Mims before they add anybody else there. I think Denver is not a buyer in a wide receiver market that just doesn't have a lot of strong options at the moment. It's just fairly thin across the board in far too many areas. The receiver market we'll mention, obviously Mike Williams now going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's off the board there. Adam Thielen, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt. Allegedly they're not going to trade DK Metcalf, which Denver wouldn't do anyway. So I would not anticipate any of those particular moves for Denver. I think that's more of a stand pat situation. Go to our Cowboys Report live stream for a super chat from Caden. The Mingo trade makes me feel worse than the losses and the injuries, to be honest. There is a reason why the narrow lead in the pin poll on our Cowboys stream, which is grade the Jonathan Mingo trade. 33% voting F, 29% voting C, 29% voting D, and 9% voting A/B. That's just not good. I don't mind, in general, the idea of adding a guy with 2.5 years of team control who's young, who you liked. That's fine. Trading a 4th-round pick for a guy, that's not something that I think makes a ton of sense. I think that was a pretty steep overpay. I feel like a 5th would have even been a little bit more than it probably should have been. So I'm not a huge fan of that particular move. I just think it's too much for the Cowboys to have given up in that particular trade. So again, we are 2 hours 22 minutes away from the end of the NFL trade deadline. Up to 5 trades already. I don't think we're done quite yet. Some more super chats coming in, though, from Eddie. What are the odds we trade our 1st-round pick for a practice squad player? It's trolling on the Cowboys. All the Cowboys jokes are valid at this point. They are completely understandable. Hopefully they don't draft another bad defensive tackle. How about that? Carlos, a super chat on the Chat Sports stream. Colts, any news? quiet so far in Indy. I really wouldn't anticipate anything big coming from the Colts. I think that's going to be a quiet deadline out of Indy. Their biggest issue is the quarterback's side of things. So we'll see what plays out there. Let's go to Chris of note, not producer Chris. Do want to make that one clear since producer Chris Daughtry behind the scenes today. This is just regular old Chris on the Super Chat side. As we now have plenty of cash, any chance to get an offensive lineman? I think Chris is referring to the Steelers here. And Chris, if the Steelers are not your team, I apologize. I think Pittsburgh's probably done. They've invested a lot of picks into that offensive line. They've been super banged up across the board. I could see them waiting a little bit there. Now, the Jets, I think the Jets are also done making moves. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so the over-under, or I should say the more than, less than, on today's stream. And then we'll go to the Super Chat menu, recap all the trades that have happened so far. 8.5, and I specifically picked 8.5 because there were 8 trades last year on the day of the NFL trade deadline. Now, we are already up to 5. We've got we'll break those down here. Been plenty of action early this morning with 2 hours and change to go here. 8.5 trades today. M for more, L for less than that amount. Get those votes in for me in the comments of today's show. I'll give some shout-outs as these come in as well. Alan says more. HRX says less. Jared, Dumb, Odie says M. Let's see. Ecuador Man says M. Calvin says L. I want more because it makes it more fun for me. We get to have conversations and discuss stuff and have things to react to and not just be up here talking for 2 hours straight in a row. M for VGN, from VGN. M's from Rod777, Hayden, Harley, Christian Gaming, David, Bruce. Sean says L. Jason Murdoch, Sasquatch Media. That's a fun name. Say L. Get those votes in. M for more, L for less. We'll run through our Super Chat menu on today's show and then break down all the trades that have happened so far today. $10, we will talk about your team in depth. Now, we will give you a shout-out no matter what, but the $5 and less, we just won't spend as much time. I'll still give you guys some love, talk about what you want to talk about, make no mistake about it, but we'll go extra in-depth for that $10 Super Chat. You can override other conversations going on. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong. We're doing cheaper prices if you're watching on the Cowboys Report stream, so we're kind of trying to balance it out since we are simulcasting today on the Chat Sports stream and on the Cowboys Report live streams. Let's break down the trades that have happened so far today. Then we'll come back to any Super Chats that come in here. The Lions finally culminating the Za'Darius Smith trade. That is a 7th rounder and Smith to Cleveland for a 5th and a 6th. I do think this matters, by the way, as we get set up for the conversations around a potential Azeez Ojulari trade. Giants probably hoping for something similar. The Ojulari contract is cheaper as a rental, although Smith is pretty cheap as well. Obviously, I think a smart move for the Lions. You lose Aiden Hutchinson. I think Smith was the best pass rusher on the trade market. Getting him just makes sense. Adding a player of that caliber, he's not Hutchinson. There's a handful of guys that are in the same conversation as Aiden Hutchinson, and those guys weren't available. You weren't getting Myles Garrett from Cleveland. You weren't going to be able to bring home Max Crosby from the Raiders. You weren't going to be able to add Micah Parsons. Those weren't feasible. Those weren't realistic particular moves. And Smith has been a pretty productive pass rusher over the course of his NFL career. Now, it didn't go as great in 2023. He's still trending towards being a fringe double-digit sack player. I think that matters. I think with what the Lions want to do on defense, that's solid. So the Browns selling makes sense. Nothing against them at all. But I do think the Lions side of this trade was a solid one for Detroit. The Bengals making an extremely rare trade. This is their second in-season trade ever that they add players. Carlos Dunlap for, who was the guard that wasn't good? And that was the Bengals selling anyway. He was terrible. Bengals get Khalil Herbert from the Bears for a 2025 7th round pick. I like this trade for Cincinnati. Herbert was buried on the Bears depth chart behind DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson. Travis Homer can be their third back. Herbert hadn't played much this year. When he has played previously, despite some injury stuff, he's been pretty productive. He offers some of the stuff the Bengals were looking for, some after contact ability, some explosive plays. He's not much of a third down guy. Chase Brown can do that. They've lost Zach Moss for the season at minimum, it seems like. Rare Bengals trade. Good for them. So it's they don't do very many of those. They've BJ Finney. BJ Finney was the name. Thank you, Deuce Trey Sniper. Good job. Now, the Cowboys also getting involved in the trade deadline. They bought. Now, Mingo is a 2.5-year player. He's got a half year left this year. Super cheap contract, 2025, 2026. To get a 4th-round pick back is pretty impressive for Carolina. Jonathan Mingo hasn't been good. There's really no way around it. He hasn't been deployed the best way. I don't really think the Cowboys are going to deploy him any better. A 4th-round pick for a guy that hasn't been good is kind of crazy. The contract matters. It's 2.5 years of team control. That's a huge factor. For the Panthers to get a pick swap of a 5th and a 6th for Deontay Johnson, and to get a 4th back, because the 7th is who cares. That's meaningless, basically. To get that for Mingo, more than what they got back for Deontay Johnson, is kind of crazy. Like, their other receivers have done more in Carolina. He had fallen to 5th on that team's roster at wide receiver. That's crazy. The big trade of the day is the Marshawn Lattimore deal. A 2025 5th-round pick, along with Lattimore, for a 3rd, 4th, and a 6th. So big-time acquisition there by Washington as they acquire Marshawn Lattimore, giving up multiple picks. The 5th and the 6th are going to be pretty close to a swap, but to get a 3rd and a 4th back is a pretty good haul for Lattimore, given where he's at this point in his career. Injuries have been a very big problem. Can't ignore that one there. If the hamstring is better, they've got a lockdown corner. That's a massive upgrade over the Emmanuel Forbes-led grouping that they've been trotting out and trying so far this campaign. The Commanders are buyers. This is what happens when you find a franchise QB. Everything feels better all of a sudden about your organization. And I think Adam Peters is really good at his job. The defense was not good for Washington. Frankly, it was bad. I think they have definitely benefited from not good teams they've played. But this is what you do when you are in position to win your division for the first time in a long time. That wasn't going to be a bottom, sub 500 record like it was the one year Ron Rivera won with them. The Steelers also making a deal. Mike Williams in exchange for a 5th-round pick. I think it is a little bit of an expensive trade. I don't love it necessarily. I feel like you could have done a slightly lower pick, but we're also going to it's not like a 6th-rounder. Like, I'm not going to freak out too much on that front. Williams gives them some size. They obviously needed wide receiver help. They were in pretty thin spots, not good enough overall when it comes to that particular position group. So being able to acquire, Mike Williams, who had been linked to them for so long, does make some sense. So Pittsburgh is trying to win games right now. The Commanders look like they're real contenders to win their division. Them as buyers certainly makes sense. Williams was buried. And maybe the Jets can get Malachi Corley going more as long as he does not fumble on the goal line again. Which I don't know how it's 2024 and we still got guys dropping the ball as they cross the goal line. All right, some super chats coming in. This is from the Cowboys stream, Denzel Miller. When Jerry leaves, think Steven hires a GM? No, because Steven already has a lot of power right now. He keeping that GM title. Ecuador man, Jerry will trade a 1st for Ridgeway. They could have traded for him again. They probably don't want to admit that they made a mistake initially. So, Sam, a $5 super chat. You're telling me we couldn't do this also on our Cowboys stream? Telling me we couldn't do the Bears-Bengals trade? Where we gave a 4th for trash? I didn't want to do the Herbert trade after Dak went down and we began the year 3-5 because they shouldn't be rental buyers. Mingo's got a long-term contract. I don't mind the idea of trading for him, but it didn't need to be a fourth. Brandon Douglas, this is on the Chat Sports live stream. Do you think the Cowboys are done? If I were the Cowboys, and I don't think they're going to, I would say, does anyone want Brandon Cooks? Because you have Jalen Tolbert, who is young, who you want to keep playing. You have CeeDee Lamb. You traded a fourth for Jonathan Mingo. You're going to want to play him. How does Brandon Cooks fit in that equation if looking longer term? Now, he's coming off of a knee injury. I don't know if there would be any real trade interest there, but my non-2025 assets should be getting shopped in Dallas. Do I think they're doing that? No. Got a $10 super chat from Rick H-Town. Wants to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. You got it, Rick. I am very curious if LA ends up doing anything. They were linked in the Marshawn Lattimore trade conversations, the Mike Williams trade conversations. LA's in a pretty interesting spot. They are a playoff threat. The AFC is not that good. They can win 9 games. They can win 10 games. They can win 11 games. And with the way the run game has been, the overall defense, Herbert looking pretty solid, the coaching staff is good, I could see LA being a playoff team this season. This was also not supposed to be, to borrow a phrase from Trader Jerry, an all-in year for LA. This was supposed to be, let's get our stuff in line, get our books in order, and then be in a really good spot for 2025. If they can find the right trade piece, a corner, I'd say receiver, but the receiver market's kind of thin. I could see him making a deal. I would guess right now that the Lions, or the Chargers, stand pat or maybe buy somebody cheap. That would be my guess on LA. But I've been very impressed with what Harbaugh and company have done. Turns out he's a good coach. Whomst among us could have seen that one coming. So. Ruthless Monk. The Chiefs trade for a corner like Newsome or Horn. They were involved in the Marshawn Lattimore trade that became too expensive for them. I think Greg Newsome would be a really intriguing deep move there. Browns have paid Denzel Ward. I wouldn't be surprised if they paid Martin Newsome, picked him over Greg Newsome, or Martin Emerson, over Greg Newsome. So I could very much see the Chiefs going after a corner, maybe after another wide receiver. It just depends on what those markets look like. I think the two obvious names, Lattimore and Williams, being off the board, we shall see. Also, Hopkins looked pretty damn good last night, so maybe they don't need another receiver and they can just ride with Nuke and Kelsey for the most part all year. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. It is curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. That is the Game Time Picks feature. It makes getting tickets to your teams play live even easier. Maybe that's not the Cowboys or the Panthers, but if you're a contender or you got a basketball team in your area, Game Time Picks is the thing to use. It allows you to filter out the fluff, only show you the incredible deals on the great seats. So it's a waste of time searching through thousands of different tickets. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat. So there's no surprises of you being blocked out by a pole or something, or I forget which college football game it was, but someone was sitting directly behind like where the people exit the stadium and you couldn't see anything. It was kind of hilarious. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? It's game time. We got to the Sam one earlier. We have a $20 super chat, though, from Jonathan Vico. That is our first shot of the day and puts the Cowboys Report ahead of the Chat Sports stream in most supers. So shout out the Cowboys Report for having a little lead right now. Jonathan, take a shot for all of us Cowboys fans. This is what's left, by the way. So we got a little bit there. Nothing too bad. 12-4, 3 years in a row, but trade when we're 3-5. Also makes you think maybe Dan Quinn wasn't the issue in Dallas. I don't think Dan Quinn was the solution in Dallas either. He's done a very solid job so far in Washington because of his offense. I don't know how much credit he gets for that. But I kind of feel like, in general in Dallas, I don't think Dan Quinn and Brian Schottenheimer were going to fix things either. You got plenty of issues, though, in Dallas. A lot of issues. And that's why we do shots for it. Cheers. We don't wife these 304. Simply says you're my hero. We will not be doing politics today. I refuse. I don't care. I am tired of these political ads during my sports. I'm sure as hell not going to bring it here. Jackson. Which was worse, Tom? 2015 when Romo broke his collarbone or this year so far? Feels like one of those years all over again. I'd probably go this year. Like 2015, you had that built-in excuse of, the quarterback got hurt and we maybe could have been able to rally. You technically have that option available this year, but you were worse. This one feels a little more like that 2020 campaign where it probably wasn't going to be good enough anyway. And that's super frustrating. Trading a fourth for the fifth best receiver on the Panthers is just like, oh, buddy. It doesn't make much sense to me. At least this year there should be a coaching shirt to look forward to, which I'm sure won't drive me insane either. Luis de Garza, another super chat on the Cowboys Report stream. So they go for Chubb. I assume you mean Nick Chubb, and no. Adding a rental back doesn't make much sense for the Dallas Cowboys. Especially one who is super important to the Browns, and by the way, hasn't been good since coming back from the knee injury. He's averaging 2.7 yards per carry on 42 carries. He has not looked good. So I don't think trading Chubb for Chubb for the Cowboys makes much sense. Chris B, a Mingo for a 4, cherry on top of a crappy season. Yeah, 33% voting F in the pin poll on the Cowboys Report, 30% voting D, 20% voting C, 9% A/B. All right, next up on the Super Chats is Braden Douglas because we got to the Ruthless Monks earlier. Cowboys, so we got a $10 on Chat Sports. How about the Cowboys? Who would have guessed that one? What do the Cowboys do now? If I were the Cowboys, I would sell some veterans. You can pitch me on adding Mingo as a long-term piece. But what's the benefit of adding another wide receiver if I'm just going to play Jalen Tolbert and Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb as my receivers? Like, why did I spend a 4th-round pick on a guy to be a backup? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, and then if you're not going to play one of those guys, which I've actually been pretty pleased with Tolbert overall, relative to expectations. He's a 3 at best. Why is Brandon Cooks on my team? I would trade him. Hell, I would say, Brandon, if I can't trade him tomorrow, I'm going to go, Brandon, look, man, we need to play our youth. Do you want to go play for a contender? Like, offer to pay the salary and get a pick back. Like, that's what I would do, because I don't see the benefit of having Cooks right now. You have other young receivers, you want to play them. I can't let Brandon Cooks be a progress blocker. Trade him to somebody. But let him be healthy from his knee injury and send him on out. Now, the injury is a huge issue there. Make no mistake. This is where you need that waiver deadline, right? For like the MLB has, and you can waive and stuff like that. That'd be nice. You shouldn't be buyers. You should sell some of your veteran players and just focus on 2025. Eddie said trade him for an 8th-round pick. Day 3 pick swap is what it is. You're not going to get much back. That's fine. Goatee Juan Kenobi. Is a goat his profile picture, by the way? I can't tell. Let me pull it up on this side. A $10 super chat to talk about the Titans here. I would not be surprised if you see Tennessee make some more deals. They've made it is a plastic goat dressed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or a stuffed goat, I should say, like a toy goat. Tennessee's sold already. They made some great trading for Ernest Jones. I mean, they got back more significantly than what they gave up, 2 months earlier. So that's a great job there. The Hopkins trade, I bet the Pittsburgh Steelers hate themselves right now a lot. Because that was for a 5th, right? Conditional 5th? Yeah. Same trade as Mike Williams? Oh, boy. Pittsburgh, what are you doing out there? I think a guy like, Arden Key makes sense. I like Sebastian Joseph Day. He could help out a contender as well. I think selling some veteran pieces. I would have put Quandre Diggs on this, but now he's out for the year, which sucks for all parties involved. No one wants injured Traylon Burks. I also don't know how bad that injury is. It's been very quiet up there in Tennessee over that, which is kind of curious. You're not going to trade Tony Pollard. Tennessee would love to find a taker for Nicholas Petit-Frere because he's bad. I don't know if anyone wants him, though. From Brendan, what does Clowney look like if traded to the Lions? I wonder if the Lions are satisfied with the addition of Za'Darius Smith. Clowney is under team control next year, so they don't have to move him unless they get blown away. I would bet they're going to be asking for more than what Za'Darius Smith went for. But I think adding a player like Clowney makes sense for the Lions, right? Like, he's still productive-ish. I'm not as worried about, wow, he's gone from 9.5 sack to 1 sack. Yeah, Carolina's bad. They're not scoring a lot of points. They don't have a lot of great pass rush opportunities. I think there are some teams that are out on him because of the way things ended in Cleveland. It's normally a bad sign when your number 2 edge rusher is accusing your team of trying to stash stuff for Myles Garrett, which, like, is just smart coaching to move Myles Garrett around and not you, buddy. I'm sorry. But he rehabbed his stock in a good way in Baltimore. I think Baltimore reunion could be a decent fit for him too, by the way, if you want to pursue that one. But I think, day 3 picks is what you're going to get for Clowney. And for Carolina, you need draft capital. You don't have a very good roster right now. Another $10 super chat from San Fran 49 wants to discuss the 49ers. You got it. The NFC West had a chance to kind of pull away from San Francisco, and they did not. All 4 teams in the mix. They should be getting Christian McCaffrey back this week, which, if your fans team took him at number 1 overall and you're not out of it, good. Congratulations. The guy who took McCaffrey in my league is in dead last. You were kind of screwed. That's as big as any acquisition you'll get in the trades, but I would never count out San Francisco from looking to add talent. Now, they're not going to fire the special teams coach, so you're kind of stuck with that right now. They have young receivers. I think they'll kind of stay the course there. They refuse to not bench Colton McKivitz or find upgrades, so I'm not going to get your hopes up there on that front there. I could see another front 4 player. I don't love that group, especially with some injuries. Like, I think you go too deep at defensive end. You're banged up at defensive tackle. I probably not going to go corner. I like the way Ronaldo Green has played. Obviously, he's been a bit banged up too, so you got to kind of figure out that one. You should have Dre Greenlaw back at some point this year. I would look front 4. It's been a bunch of bad luck with injuries for the Niners. It happens to teams. It's how it goes. Some years you're healthy, some years you're not. And you just kind of cross your fingers that your depth is good or your injuries match up properly, like with when you're a contender. So we shall see. I'd be calling around about defensive linemen. Try to get one more piece, DT or DE, but I think the Niners, I think, should still be viewed as the favorite to win that division. I think that's probably the best path, and the most likely path there for San Fran. Now, if you guys are a die-hard football fan, whether you're watching on the Cowboys Report live stream or on the Chat Sports live stream, hit that sub button right now. We got inside of 2 hours to go until the 2024 NFL trade deadline comes and goes. We will have trade deadline winners, losers for you guys here on the channel after things wrap up. We've got Red Zone live streams for you guys every Sunday, NFL videos throughout the week, NBA coverage too. If you just love sports, and that is all we will talk about today, because I don't care about the other stuff going on. We will have a college football playoff rankings live stream for you guys tonight too. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. $10, Zachary Lynn Borgen? If I got that wrong, Zachary, I'm very sorry. Wants to talk about the Packers. You got it. Again, folks, every $10 super chat, and we'll talk about your team. Green Bay, I could see them being in the mix for an Azeez Ojulari type of player, That wouldn't be a huge shock to me if they go down that path. They've been linked to some edges. Like I could even see a flipping of Preston Smith and adding a different edge rusher because they don't seem to want to play him that much, which is fine. They're kind of in a weird spot among the edges. I was a little surprised some of those reports come out like, edge, okay, it's fine. I look at corner. I don't love the cornerback room. They've been fine so far. I think in the end, Green Bay's probably going to be a holder. They're probably not going to be a team that makes big-time moves and trades and everything. But if they can just get Jordan Love healthy, if they can just get Jordan Love healthier even, that this is probably a playoff team. Their losses have not been bad losses, really. Like, they've been understandable, maybe is the phrase to go about it from that perspective. I like where Green Bay's at. I think they've got a pretty good overall organizational structure. And this is not cheerleader at all. I really like what Matt LaFleur does. He is a very, very good designing coach. I'm a big fan of his play calling. Vibing with T says Patriots moves. He made the trade of Josh Uche. We mentioned cornerbacks. Jonathan Jones stands out there in a pretty significant way. There's also a $10 just came in from Vibing with T too. So we'll do the 10. Spend some more time on New England here. Do you move on from Jonathan Jones? I forget which outlet it was like, maybe Christian Gonzalez gets traded. No, he doesn't. Stop it. You don't trade away your best young defensive piece. Like, that's just a bad idea. Like, he is entering year 2. He's good. It doesn't make any sense. No need to do it. Jonathan Jones, okay. You've got extra wide receivers. I think they would love to find a partner for one of Tyquan Thornton and or KJ Osborne. Neither of those guys are that great. So I would say that if they can ship off one of their extra wide receiver depth pieces, if they get blown away for a defensive piece like a Jonathan Jones, that makes sense. But they don't have a lot of veterans on that team right now. They're not loaded with, that old guy can go. That has trade value. They're a mostly young team. They're already in the middle of that rebuild under Drake May. Lowrider Gaming, a $2 super chat from the Cowboys Report, says trade Lance and Cooks for some offensive line. They're not going to. Trey Lance has no trade value, guys. He's going to play now for you, too, because Dak's going to go to IR and miss at least 4 games that maybe goes to 8. O-line, you just need to keep playing your young guys. Like, you have young players. You just have to get better play from the younger players, like even Tyler Smith's not played that great this year. Guyton, Beebe, etc. Shoot, you might be more inclined to give TJ Bass some reps at some point in Dallas. I think that's just you got to play those young guys, and you're not going to get great value for Lance and Cooks. If you get anything for Cooks, it'd be a win. So, Chris B says trade a 4 for Mingo. Still need a wide receiver in the draft. At minimum, you have to play him a lot in order to see if he can be more than just a number 3 for you. So again, that's why I don't think keeping Brandon Cooks makes sense. It's got to be about 2025 now in Dallas. Lamb is one of them. Let's see what Tolbert and Mingo look like the rest of the season, even though it's a backup QB. Because I don't want to be sitting here this time next year going, your receivers still aren't good enough because you traded a 4th-round pick for a guy that wasn't good enough. That's my concern with the Jonathan Mingo trade for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a big reason why the Fs are winning in the pinned poll. All right, we're talking trades here. Some more super chats to come. Name a player who you think will end up being traded. On the Cowboys note, by the way, they did release Andrew Booth. Wouldn't be that shocked if he made his way back to the practice squad. We'll see. That is what it is trade for Andrew Booth and Deshaun Wright, because both guys got cut by their respective teams. Wright's on the Vikings practice squad. At least he was with this year. Player you think gets dealt? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to sip some water here. VGN says Jack Conklin for the Browns. It's clever. I could even throw Jedrick Wills in there. That's clever. I like that one, VGN. Outside the box thinking. Elijah Moore, J.C. Horn, Jadeveon Clowney. You won't see T. Higgins dealt. That's not going to happen. They should pay him still. Like, he can't stay healthy, but Jack Jones, I don't know if anyone wants him. He's kind of, I don't know, a problem sometimes. Honey Badger, ooh, that's fun. Jeffrey Simmons to Minnesota. The Vikings would love to do that. I don't think Tennessee does it. Azeez Ojulari is a good name. It's a good one. Chase Young, it's a good name too. Got to switch on him. We'll get to it in a little bit here. Tank Lawrence is a good name, but I don't know when he's going to return to injury. Like, he might not play until after Thanksgiving, and that makes it kind of tough to trade for a guy that you don't know when he's going to come back. I think that kind of ruins the Tank Lawrence trade value in the end. Other names, Trey Walker's probably not available. Ooh, David Ajabo's an interesting name. That's fun. Justin Jefferson in Cleveland. Stop it. Travis Etienne. Rams aren't trading Stafford and Kupp. They are now a playoff threat again. Prince Jr. Nobody wants Bryce Young. Yeah, they're probably going to keep him. Too. All right, Eli. I think the Bengals will get Chase Young. Probably not. And the reason why I say probably not is the money. So let me make sure I'm reading this off correctly. So Chase Young got a 1-year, $13 million contract from the New Orleans Saints. Now, what was noteworthy about this is the Saints did something kind of clever with his contract. He has the $13 million guaranteed. It was all made into to be treated as a signing bonus, but it's actually based on per game active bonuses. So unlike every other signing bonus trade that you'll see, it's really based more on the per games he plays. So over the course of his season, you'd actually be able to save around $4 million is what he would be owed by a new team, even though that's not how it looks when you go to like Spotrac and over the cap with the contract. It's a very unique contract from the most unique cap managing team in the NFL outside of maybe Philadelphia and Cleveland. So it would cost about $4 million to trade for Chase Young, plus his base salary, so it's 4.5-ish, rough rounding there. I don't think the Bengals, as a cheap team, would pay that. I could see them in the market, though, for an Arden Key, for a Azeez Ojulari, or if they can find a cheaper pass rusher or a corner, I think that could very much end up happening. All right, let's get to another Super Chat here in just a second. It kind of disappeared at the last second, which is unfortunate on our end. Name a player who you think will end up being traded. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's see. Okay, I could see a Darius Slayton trade. Giants have been kind of weird. We'll see if they do anything in the end. I don't think you're going to see a Max Crosby, a Micah Parsons. I think the biggest name we see get dealt today already happened in Marshawn Lattimore. That's my guess. I would like to be wrong because that makes it fun for me. Makes it fun to see big-time chaotic trades go down. Owens trading for Jake Haener. Joe Tyron Shinoka is an interesting name, actually, the Dust Productions. Probably not for Dallas, but I could see him having some interest. I think Miles Sanders is more available than Chuba Hubbard, but we'll see if they end up doing anything or not. Ojulari I could see getting moved. Zach Martin's an interesting one. He has trade value. He is not the same player he was in his prime. I think that is kind of clear. Now, the offensive line coach in Dallas is a problem. We can say that about Mike Solari. His contract is also set up to be a retirement contract after this year, and it kind of has a pretty big negative impact on the Cowboys' salary cap if they trade him now. So I would say no Zach Martin trade is going to be my guess there. Let's go to William Grimes, a $5 super chat on the Cowboys Report live stream. Is there anyone out there we can afford and that can also move the needle forward? For 2024, it's just whatever you do is not going to be enough. Unless you can voodoo magic trick the Chiefs into giving you Patrick Mahomes. And even then, like, you still might not be good enough overall with your roster and or well-coached enough. You still might only win 9 games. I don't think it's going to work for you. So 2025, you can call about some players. I think that's more of an off-season move. That's why I kind of don't love the mindset there. It's just, I think you're just kind of are what you are. I think you're better off trading players away for assets. Chris B. Jones going to use the Mingo as a free agency addition next year. Yeah, I know you'll be in round 1 and Luther Burden or Teteri McMillan's out of Missouri and Arizona, and you go, we don't need T-Mac. We got Jonathan Mingo. Or that's what they're going to do. You better play him a lot this year so you know if he's good or not. My only mindset. Jimmy Productions. Will Khalil Herbert have helped the Dallas Cowboys at running back? He'd be your second best one pretty easily. There's a reason why I spent a long time talking about him this preseason. But the Cowboys season is over. You're not doing anything in 2024. So a rental of Khalil Herbert doesn't make sense for Dallas. It does make a ton of sense for the Bengals, though. That's why it was a good move by Cincinnati. Herbert hasn't played much this year. It's an 8-carry sample size. Toss it out the window. Nobody cares. But the previous 3 years, when he's played, when he's been out there, he's been productive. He's made some good things happen. So more evidence of my Bengals are the same team as the Cowboys, but also alternate universe Cowboys theory. It's a good move by Cincinnati. And the Bears weren't going to play him. Get something back. That just makes sense. Jimmy again. Any other running back or D-line targets for the Cowboys? I'd be surprised if they did anything beyond for a player that wasn't under contract for 2025. So Travis Etienne could fit that mold. The other running backs are, you could call that a Kendre Miller. Antonio Gibson is under contract. Miles Sanders technically is, but you're not going to pay him. That's a trade and cut type of move like Kevin Byard was last year. Dalvin Tomlinson is under team control next year. Super cheap this year. Actually is probably a decent idea, but does he fit your next defensive coordinator scheme? You don't know. That's why you kind of don't want to be trading assets when you don't know for certain, 100% certainty that they're going to be pieces for you next year. Now, Jeffrey Simmons fits no matter what, but they're going to ask for your first-round pick, and you can't trade that right now. So, if anything, I'd probably offer up Oso Odigizua. Because if I'm not going to pay him in free this offseason, I don't care about that comp pick. Ignore it. Go spend money elsewhere and get a pick now. That's what I do. From Jesus Loves You, justify the Mingo trade and estimate Mingo's improvement on a better offense / does he start next year? He was pretty low in Carolina. The justification for the Mingo trade is you liked him coming out of college. You gave a 4th-round pick for a guy you had a 2nd-round grade on, minimum. A player who you think can be at least a number 3, if not a number 2 for you next year, is under team control for 2.5 more years at a pretty cheap contract. The problem is he wasn't good in Carolina when other receivers were better. He is getting outplayed and outsnapped right now by Jalen Coker and David Moore, who has been a journeyman wide receiver. I assume he starts next year. Otherwise, what are we doing out here, guys? So my goal here is you need to, trading for Mingo in and of itself is fine. You're taking a flyer on a guy you liked. Trading a 4th for a guy with 6 drops and 0 career touchdowns, that's a lot. And you need to get really good play on a project to justify your return. It's just, the player, okay, I get it. The value you gave up just doesn't make any sense to me. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best way to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Here's one of the football Prize Picks lineups I've got this weekend. I got Garrett Wilson more than receiving yards, not just because on my fantasy was I think he's going to play well against the shaky still Cardinals defense overall. James Cook against the bad Colts run defense, even with the Forrest Buckner back. I like the more there. And Tyrone Tracy against a really bad Panthers defense. They will probably feed him pretty heavily. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's talk about our Super Chat menu. Then we'll get caught up on the main Super Chats and then go through the trades that have happened and hopefully get a new one. I will say, it has been very quiet right now. Like, there's not even a lot of, normally we get more like, hey, this is going on, this rumor. It's quiet, which makes me think we're about to get some good stuff coming. That's my theory. Is it hopium? Probably, but I don't care. $10, we will talk about your team. Regardless of which team it is, we'll talk about them. Football team. Should probably clarify that one. I know what today is. We're going to talk about sports. Chat sports. $20 for a shot. We've done one so far. $50 for a beer bong. Price is cheaper than normal. The Chat Sports stream is beating out the Cowboys Report live stream in viewership 2-1 and super chats and likes, but not by the same ratio there. Pick 12-9. Broncos moves. Kind of think they're done. I could see them listening to offers on a player like Marvin Mims, who just doesn't play for them on offense. A player like Greg Dulcich, who's buried on that tight end depth chart right now. If someone threw a good offer for like a DJ Jones, I could maybe see that. But they're not a bad team. They're on the fringes of the playoff contention and are not kind of watered down, the top couple teams in the AFC. So I don't think they're going to be a fire sale team. But some of their guys that aren't playing, maybe you could see some action there. But I think Denver, beyond the Baron Browning trade, of course, already happened. I think that was like their one obvious move because he was also buried on the depth chart. Dulcich, if anyone wants him, stands out to me. Trey, 1222. The Falcons. Mentioned them earlier, actually. We've had a couple different Falcons super chats today, which is awesome. I think the likely outcome here is they don't do much. If they do anything, maybe it's a pass rusher. I think you need another guy. Your pass rusher is not very good, whether that's interior or outside guy. But Atlanta seems content to not push all their chips into the Kirk Cousins era. They made their big move for Matthew Judon, which, hey, you could have just, move on, ignore it. With what you could have done in the draft, that's over. I think Falcons, defense needs help. Not sure we'll see a move. Arden Key, Azeez Ojulari, bring back Azeez, Georgia boy. Could make some sense. Amir, the Lions fan. I think the Lions make one more move. If so, who? I could see another pass rusher. I could see a veteran pass rusher, and maybe you include James Houston in a trade out. Just a thought. He's kind of not playing a ton right now. Team's good. I like the Lions a lot. They don't need that much, really. They've got a bunch of talent. If you had another receiver, okay, maybe, but you can get by with Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond in that offense. So I don't think you see the Lions do much there. Jerry Productions. Watch Jerry not fire Mike because of the Dak injury. I would be surprised, and I'd be pretty mad. We saw how this year was going. It was not good enough. Now, if Mike wasn't out of his contract, maybe. But yet it's not that you're firing Mike. It's that you're actively choosing to retain him. And the Cowboys have already shown that there's a difference for them. They're not paying Mike to not coach for them. They're just over it. So. 2K God 24. I used to be good at 2K kind of briefly. And then I don't play anymore. College, I'd play against one of my guys next to me. And he was just so good with Kobe. Like, he played so much with Kobe, he had his shot down pat. So he would just hit constant fadeaways all game. It was really frustrating. So the Cardinals still go after Azeez Ojulari. I'm not opposed to it. They did get Baron Browning. I don't know how aggressive Arizona should really be. I still think they're a year away from being a true top-end contender. It'd be kind of nice to reunite BJ and Azeez. I do think the Giants looking for a 4th-round pick. I don't know if they're going to get that. They might have to settle for a 5th, which I think they should do because they might spend some money in free agency, and then you don't have to worry about the comp pick angle. He's a solid player. He's had a pretty good year, by the way. He's had actually a very good year. Maybe benefiting from being the 3rd guy instead of the 1st guy, alongside Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. The Baron Browning trade, I like that one for Arizona. I did. But I kind of think, yes, they're 5-4. Yes, they have cap space. I don't know if that organization is ready to go be aggressive in that fashion. TK, another $10 super chat on the Lions. Okay, you got it, TK. You think they make another move? I don't think so. I wouldn't be opposed to, like I mentioned earlier, another edge. Like I think that could work for them. I could see them shopping James Houston as part of that or in a separate trade even. But I don't know. I look at this team and I go, boy, they're pretty damn good across the board. Like they're well coached. They've added Za'Darius Smith. That's a huge boost for them. I'm a huge fan of Brian Branch. The Smith trade I think was smart. Like one of your worst players have been your corners, but Arnold's young. If you could find a rookie or a young corner, maybe, but you also drafted Ennis Rakestraw to eventually be a piece for you, and Carlton Davis is there, so like I think you're probably fine outside of like, hey, maybe go find a new edge. Like I would get that angle because you have Josh Pascal, you just traded for Za'Darius Smith. If you wanted to call, I don't know, because you're getting Frank Ragnow back, you could look at a guard maybe, but like if Graham Glasgow is your worst offensive lineman, that probably means you're actually in good shape. Like if you want a better 6th lineman, okay, on the interior, like I think they're in really good shape. Like unless they just get decimated by injuries, which you can't predict, I don't see a better team in the NFC than the Detroit Lions. Like I think they're really good. I think that's pretty clear right now. All right, we are simulcasting today's live show. Great job here, Chris. On the Chat Sports channel and our Cowboys Report channel. Now, we're in a like battle, I'd say a super battle as well, between those two streams. Now, the Chat Sports stream, which isn't a surprise here, have double the audience. They do not have double the likes. Every 500 likes individually will be a shot. So 281 right now on the Chat Sports stream. 207, I guess. 284, 207 on the Cowboys Report live stream. So like that video, if you haven't already done so, we will be live for the next hour and a half and then some. We will do NFL trade deadline winners and losers. Waiting for some more trades. It has been a little bit quiet. We'll see. The Titans are getting calls on their defenders, is what Diana Rossini said. That's not new, so that doesn't really move the needle for me. They were told no on Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key, and Sebastian Joseph Day. I don't think any of those deals would be shocking necessarily. If one of those guys ends up getting dealt, or if they stay, because Key's under contract, I'm pretty sure, for next year, and Joseph Day is valuable there. I'm going to authorize you guys to just spam just to put the political people on mute. Like I don't care, guys. It's sports day. We're talking sports. That's all I care about. Like go find a chat politics if you want to do that instead. We will stick with sports here. So like that video if you haven't already. Let's run through the 5 trades that have gone down today. And then we'll get to our more than, less than. I'll make that the pin poll right now, by the way, as well. Let me do that, the pin poll here real first. I got to talk while typing. It's not a very good thing for me. Added an option somehow, like an idiot. All right, there we go. Za'Darius Smith traded kind of early this morning from the Cleveland Browns to the Detroit Lions, which, isn't a huge surprise. That one was expected, it felt like. That it was a matter of when, not if, you're going to get Za'Darius to Detroit. It made sense for everybody. Just like very obvious. A 5th and a 6th with a 7th round pick in exchange is just feels like about the right value. Might set the value expectation for Azeez Ojulari as well. I like it for the Lions. I'm not mad at it about the Browns either. I think that works. The Bengals, a rare in-season trade for Khalil Herbert. It is, I believe, the second time they've gotten a player back. Was the NFL research tweet in season. Second time. I want to say, no, it was Carlos Dunlap. They got back B.J. Finney. They also, off-season, moved down 1 year and got Cordy Glenn. I remember that trade. They're not a trading team. So to do a trade was unusual. They also have been linked heavily to the defenders, too. I could see that happening. Khalil Herbert for a 7th-round pick. Herbert was not playing in Chicago, but when he's played, he's been good. Zach Moss is going to be done for the year. I like a lot for the Bengals. Solid player. Super cheap rental. Makes sense. It's a good deal. What was not a good deal was the Jonathan Mingo trade. Mingo has not been good. As a former second-round pick, a year and a half in, he has not produced. He just hasn't. He hasn't been a good player. He is a good athlete, but it has not translated to results on the field. The Cowboys have 2.5 years now of Mingo. That's valuable, sure. The plan of a 4th-round pick for a guy that had fallen down to 5th on the Panthers among wide receivers is not particularly good. So it's a great trade for Carolina. If you had told anybody going into this trade deadline period that the Panthers were going to get more back for Jonathan Mingo than they did for Deontay Johnson, I don't think anyone would have believed you. They would have said, you're crazy. Contract, even with the contract, it wouldn't have mattered. Good deal for Carolina. Bad deal for Dallas. Producer Chris?
I feel like the worst thing about this trade is the fact that the Bengals went and got Herbert for a 7th, and the Cowboys need another running back.
Herbert's a rental. I'm fine with not doing the Herbert trade. And if you had flipped the 6th for Jonathan Mingo, cool. I'm fine with that. They're going to have like 5 5th or 6th round picks this year. You're trading a 4th again when they do a pretty good job in the 4th round. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. The Commanders, as a direct result of the Mingo trade, I'm kidding. Traded for Marshawn Lattimore. A 3rd, a 4th, a 6th, which was originally the Saints in the John Ridgeway trade, coming over from Washington in exchange for Lattimore and a 5th round pick. I like Lattimore. He's getting up there, and corner play in general can be a little bit streaky from year over year. Outside of a few guys, it's like prime Jalen Ramsey, Darrelle Revis. I would say Stan Butch-Tans had some bad games in his career too. Like those, there's normally some streakiness involved there. He's a number 1 corner when healthy. Commanders see their window. They see a Cowboys team that's bad and banged up and injured. An Eagles team that they think they're just as good as, if not better. They think they can make some noise in the NFC in year 1 of the Jaden Daniels, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn era. Some aggressive movement here from the Commanders, who sold last year, buying this year. I will give the Saints credit. They're eating a lot of money in this Marshawn Lattimore trade. They got cheap young players now. I think the Saints' plan is pretty clear here. They're going to suck next season. They are going to be terrible. They are not going to be a good football team. At some points, they need to stop kicking the can down the line so much and do that little 1, 2, 3-year rebuild. Get out of some of those bad contracts. Take some of the really gross, ugly, dead cap hits over a 2-year span. And don't field a team that you're trying to win 9 games like they have the past couple seasons. Eat the bad money on Derek Carr for 1 more year, then move on. Bottom out this upcoming season, and keep your fingers crossed that Arch Manning is good and you're bad, and you can bring back the favorite son. Or a different quarterback emerges and you kind of have the young quarterback as you're overhauling your roster. It's time for a rebuild in New Orleans. It's been past time for a rebuild. They should have done it when Drew Brees retired. They should have done it when Sean Payton left. Now is the time to do it. All right. Ooh, another Steelers trade? Oh, I don't know what this is. I don't have the trades pulled up here. Oh, okay. Mike Williams to the Jets for a 5th-round pick. And then, is the other one going to go yet? Or not yet? Okay. We'll focus on this one yet. Another Steelers trade I'm about to get to here in a second. Mike Williams, 5th-round pick. What was the DeAndre Hopkins trade package again? I want to make sure I'm not speaking inaccurately. Because once I say stuff, I'm kind of over it. Is a 5th-round pick for Mike Williams. The Hopkins trade was a 4th-rounder. 5th becomes a 4th if he plays 6% of the snaps, which it was a 4th-round pick. It's a 4th-round pick going to them. Boy, wouldn't you have rather done that than give up a 5th for Mike Williams? Don't love that one for the Steelers. We have another trade, though. Pittsburgh is not done. They are adding Preston Smith, who we mentioned as a possible trade candidate in Green Bay, 20 minutes ago? Steelers adding an edge, which I did not have on my bingo card, by the way. We are still awaiting the details here. I'm going to go 6th-round pick. I'll go 6th is my guess on that. We'll see if I look smart or really stupid. And if I'm wrong, please type L in the comments section. We can poke fun of me. It's quite okay. That brings us up to 6 trades, by the way. So the more than, less than was 8.5. We got an hour and a half to go there. So, Nick Herbig's banged up right now. Maybe that bodes some concern there. T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Preston Smith, and Herbig whenever he's healthy. That's a strong pass rush group. Maybe it's not a 6. Maybe it's actually going to be less than that. Because that's kind of low. I didn't think edge was a huge need for them. But, they're being aggressive. They see that window. They see that they're playing well, that they can make some noise in the postseason. So TBD on the details for the Preston Smith trade. Boy, what a time to be alive. We are 6 trades in. Will we get to 9? More or less than the 8.5? Because I don't believe in ties. Ties are un-American. They should not be allowed. Should be banned in all sports, including that other football one. Shouldn't happen. Nothing more disappointing than seeing a 0-0 tie. What are we doing out here? Come on. Chris, you ready to say something there?
Is baseball the only professional sport that does it? Oh, I guess basketball. Basketball. Too. Okay.
NASCAR,
yeah.
Golf doesn't have ties for the winner. They have ties after, which is fine. Just football's being stupid.
Yeah, I never get NFL. Just add
no ties.
Have an unlimited.
Just no ties. It's so easy to avoid.
Yeah, just an unlimited overtime.
Soccer, go to PKs. It's all you have to do. Hockey should always have the shootouts, shootouts are fun. Hockey in person is fun. On TV, it's not nearly as good. Executive producer Sam just told me to shut up over my soccer slander. Sam, you're French. Deal with it. 8. I said they were un-American. You can embrace your French roots, my friend. 8.5 trades today. M for more, L for less. We are still waiting on the details of the Preston Smith trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can get your prediction on what you think that trade is going to be. I'm kind of surprised Pittsburgh went down that path. I don't hate it. It's a fine addition, especially if it is cheap. We got 6 trades so far. Get to 8.5. We'll find out. Tony, a $20 super chat. Thank you, Tony. Tommy, love the content. Take a shot for all of us. Coach Jerry finally went senile. Chances we tank with Trey. Here's what I would do if I were the Cowboys. I would simply let Trey Lance play. Because I see two main scenarios that happen with Trey Lance. Number one, turns out he sucks. And he is Trey Lance tank commander. Option two, he shows some good stuff. Maybe you don't win every game. You're probably not going to. Maybe you win a couple that you would probably win with Cooper Rush anyway, potentially. And he says, I am worthy of being your backup quarterback next season. And he says, or at least I got you a comp pick somehow. I think both of those are preferable to the maybe you win a third of your games, you're around 500, best case of your defense suddenly lights it up with Cooper Rush, but you're not making a playoff run with Cooper Rush. Or not making the playoffs anyway with Cooper Rush. Now the problem is, most likely, either of those scenarios that feature Trey Lance, your head coach is getting fired. So it is very hard, and this is why Rush has been your backup all year long. It's kind of hard to have a head coach go, all right, let me just accept my fate. They don't want to get fired. They got a mortgage to pay. They don't want to lose their jobs. The entire coaching staff in Dallas is on a 1-year deal. They have no jobs lined up right now. So they're going to want to try to save their jobs. And they probably think, as evidenced by Cooper Rush being the backup, the number 2, and Lance being the number 3, that Rush is better right now. But this is where you have organizational differences of like, hey, are we good enough? No. Okay, we have to focus on the big picture. This can cause issues when you are not aligned properly from a front office and a head coach perspective. It's a bad thing. Cheers. Moto Matt, I would trade Mike for a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Do you guys put cheese on your sandwiches, by the way? Your Chick-fil-A sandwiches? Because I don't. I think it's bad.
I guess it depends how it comes. Like, you've got the
It's the pickle and the sauce.
whatever's the one with the like the grilled chicken sandwich with the bacon and everything like that.
Not the grilled chicken, just like the plain regular chicken sandwich. I don't ever put cheese on there.
No.
I don't put it on there.
I didn't know it was an option, to be honest.
You can add cheese.
Huh.
I never do it. That's off topic. Santos. The Cowboys have focused more on the interior defensive line, so they shop around Micah. I'll start with Micah here. I don't think a Micah trade makes much sense right now. Like, I think that is a potential off-season trade. That is not one you should be making when you're kind of cutting down on your available options for a trade when he's under contract next year. If you want to trade Micah, do it in the offseason. You will maximize your value better. Even though the Cowboys are bad at trades, we have to acknowledge that too. Interior D-line is a bigger need. I don't know who was available for you that was cost controlled over multiple years, which is what they were doing. But, I wouldn't have made a trade. I would have traded players way before I did anything else. Mark, how can Adams and others be traded for almost the same as Mingo? I so want to lose bad just to see Jerry Jones cry. I thought Tolbert was having a breakout, LOL. I thought Tolbert was playing fine. You still need another receiver, but Mingo has been worse. He's put up I don't know, Jalen Brooks, Kevontae Turpin combined stats. Like, he's not. His last catch was 3 games ago in Carolina. The reason why is the team control. You get 2.5 years of Mingo as opposed to, a half season of Mike Williams, half season of Deontay Johnson went for even less. I don't agree with it, though. If you want to trade for Mingo, give him a 6th, not a 4th. Elijah Gust, will Seattle make another move? Obviously, Seattle earlier this year made the Ernest Jones the 4th trade. They will not be trading away DK Metcalf. Teams called. They said no. Teams call about a lot more players than get reported, by the way. And it's often no. I I would love to find better offensive linemen for Seattle. I don't really know how feasible that's going to be right now. Connor Williams has snap issues again. Charles Cross is good when he's healthy. The right tackle spot has been a disaster this year. Everyone they've tried has played poorly. The Abraham Lucas maybe can come off of IR and help you out. We'll see. Lincoln Tomlinson's been serviceable. Anthony Bradford's bad. They're having a lot of issues in pass protection. Stone Forsythe sucks. Anthony Bradford is bad. If I can find a guard or a tackle, I'm all for it and getting those guys off the field. But Seattle's allowed 144 pressures this year. That's a lot. J-Buzz, trade Brandon Cooks to Tampa. This is where Dallas has to start doing stuff. They have to start making calls. I don't think keeping Brandon Cooks makes sense because I need to play Jalen Tolbert. I need to play Jonathan Mingo. This year, they have to play a lot. I got to see what I have. I can't go into next year having not played Mingo. That doesn't make any sense to me. And Brandon Cooks is coming off the injury. It's going to drive down his value. He's due about $4 million this year. I don't think there's going to be a lot of interest. If I can get a day 3 pick swap, I would do it. Because what you're facing right now with Brandon Cooks, especially without Dak Prescott, and a season that's kind of cooked, that is a progress blocker. You don't need him to do what you need to do this year. You don't. So you're better off just getting whatever you can get for him. Other players under contract, you should sell him too. Sell them too. Odigizua. You're probably going to keep Marcus as contract stuff. I would consider a Jordan Lewis. It would actually be super funny if he went to Detroit because they could actually use him. And then he and Sluggo would be on the same team. It'd be very funny. But I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But it'd be funny. Mark, $5 super chat. Love cheese, but I'm lactose intolerant, LOL. I know you don't like Dak. I don't see a $57 million difference between him and Rush. When you get to stuff like this, you kind of get into the individual numbers don't matter. And what I mean by that is there is a threshold you have to clear to be viable. The difference between, depending on how your grading scale works, is there a big difference between 90 and 89? No. But that is an A versus a B. D versus an F. At a certain point, it's just not good enough with what you have at quarterback, and that's what it is with Cooper Rush. No matter how much you're saving and spending that money elsewhere, it's never enough. You have to get at least a C in one subject to pass your everything. And no matter how many other A's you got, it's not straight A's if you have a C. So the big money difference, no, it probably doesn't work out 1-to-1. But the threshold is too low with Rush. We do have the details on the Preston Smith trade. I was wrong. I kind of realized maybe I was too high on it. 7th round pick. You can type L's in the chat for me. L's in the chat for myself is a 7th round pick for Preston Smith, which is not a lot, by the way. A very limited amount in that particular deal. Let me pull up the contract for Preston Smith, too. I got to Google that one. He is due, once it loads, the contract sites get a little bit bogged down today with the traffic. They don't move as fast as they normally do. Vet minimum, plus some roster bonuses, so it's like about $2 million combined. That's not that bad for Preston Smith. He's under contract next year, but I would wager he's going to get cut with the way that deal is set up. So a 7th round pick from Green Bay, or for Green Bay, to Seattle to the Steelers, as I'm reading other stuff on screen I shouldn't be reading. Let's try it again without me being a dumbass. Preston Smith to the Steelers. Packers get a 7th round pick. There we go. It's not that hard. I can just Ron Burgundy it. That's all I got to do. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. They have a new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats. So don't waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation designed to make it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. You know, maybe you don't want to go to a Dallas Cowboys game. I wouldn't disagree with you there. That certainly makes some sense. Maybe you don't want to go to a Raiders game. Or maybe you do. Maybe you want to go to a Mavs game instead. Use the Game Time app either way. Or whatever sports team is local to you guys, since we're across all the different states here. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. All right, today's Super Chat menu. $10, we will talk about your team. Any team it is, $10, spend time on it. Whatever if there's a specific thing you want to question, go for it, but we'll talk about them in general. Trade deadline focused, obviously. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong. So cheaper prices than what it normally is on just our Cowboys Report live stream. We've kind of merged them there. The Chat Sports stream, we're simulcasting today, narrowly ahead of the Cowboys stream in Super Chats. $2.50 difference right there. So that's narrow all the way down to the wire. From Gage, $2. The Cardinals need Azeez Ojulari so bad. I would bet he gets moved. The edge market's not been very strong, though. Za'Darius, a fifth and change. Preston Smith, a 7th. Ironically, both guys who at one point played for Green Bay, which is kind of funny. Obviously, Preston most recently. So I think they wanted a 4th. We'll see if they get a 4th there. Mark, anytime of a stud QB in the top 10 for us. If you want a Cowboys quarterback in the top 10, you should not get your hopes up. It's not going to happen. Because A, it's not a good quarterback class. B, you just paid your guy. So it makes no sense to pay a guy and then trade him and then go top 10 QB. And the 1 or 2 good QBs are not going to make it to 10. Robert, is that the only move we make about the Jonathan Mingo trade? Maybe. I would like to see them sell. I don't know if they're going to. They might just do nothing. Who knows? J Buzz, let's make things fun. Fire McCarthy, do a Jeff Saturday experiment with Jason Witten. How about we don't? I hate that idea. It didn't work in Indy. Why would it work in Dallas? Jason Witten is a pretty solid high school head coach. Yeah, I do see a scenario where Jerry Jones wants to interview Jason Witten going, I can get my own Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell spent a decade in the NFL as a coach. He was an interim head coach too. Jason Witten's NFL coaching experience is the same as mine and yours. Knowing ball is not a reason to hire a coach in and of itself. It is a prerequisite for the job, not a defining factor. Let's go to the Preston Smith trade. A 7th round pick going to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for Preston Smith. The Steelers have multiple 7th rounders. I think there might be a Jesse Davis one in there as well. So grade that trade, both sides, A, B, C, D, or F. Grade that trade. I see B for both sides feels about right. It's a 7th rounder. It's not going to make or break your season probably either way. Thorbian says F. Interesting. Grade that trade. A, B, C, D, or F. B from Anthony Thompson. F. B. Series equal an A+. Packers do that contract off the books. Makes sense. They were going to cut him anyway, but it just frees up a roster spot, do some other stuff. I have no complaints about it for Green Bay or Pittsburgh in the end. to actually see it produced on the new DC. Just had to see him go. It's fair. FFF, not my Preston Smith from BSP is upset. He's a Packers fan. Sorry, buddy. D's. E for effort, I guess. I don't know. Some more. I feel bad for BSP. Caden and F for the Packers. People are upset about that one. A for the Steelers. F for Green Bay. 7th is junk. Yeah, I just don't think. I think they were out on him. That's kind of a sunk cost at that point. Contract-wise, by the way, Packers are eating a bunch of dead cap, which sucks, but that was already sunk money. Steelers owe him $2 million this year, $13.4 next year that they're not going to pay. Green Bay was just, they were out on this deal. They didn't want to do it anymore. They wanted out. They got whatever they could in the end. So, rumor alert, by the way, from Diana Rossini. The Bengals are searching for defensive tackle help. Now, Stone, remind me, B.J. Hill got hurt again, right? What was the injury on that front? A rib? Okay. Going after DT's interesting. You have Sheldon Rankins, you have day 2 picks and Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson. Do wonder if they're a little bit nervous about the B.J. Hill injury then.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a contributing factor for sure. But like you said, with McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins Jr. really coming on, I think bringing in a veteran to help those guys certainly could be a good piece for this Bengals defense.
Richard says, come get Mozzie Smith. I'm sure you guys want him. Sure you guys want to go down that path, right? I think you almost want a pass rushing DT. Who are the top available DTs? Can we go to that? Have on the list there. You get a chance there, producer Chris. DTs. I'd like to see it's kind of DT/DE. Calais Campbell makes sense. I think the Dolphins would like to do right by him because he signed in Miami to go home and play for a contender. Well, he ain't a contender in Miami anymore. I do think Sebastian Joseph Day would be a really good pickup by Cincinnati. I like how he's played in Tennessee this season. I think he's been impactful. I think he's been solid. I think Calais Campbell, who could do DE/DT stuff and is like an upgraded version of Sam Hubbard, would make sense. Dalvin Tomlinson is expensive for him, for them, but I think that could work. DJ Jones is a bit expensive. I will give you Osa Odigizua for that 4th-round pick I just lost. How about that? Who says no? The Bengals. Bengals don't trade that type of asset there. Devon Godchow is kind of in a weird spot. He got paid, but it's a tradable contract in New England. So we'll see if anything happens with the Bengals. They clearly are in the market for defensive end help. We'll see if another trade happens, though. We got an hour and change to go on that front. So we'll get to some more Super Chats here after we check in on our like battle. Now, we are simulcasting right now on both the Chat Sports YouTube stream and the Cowboys Report YouTube channel as well. We're on both of them right now. Now, no surprise, the Chat Sports stream has more audience. That's expected. It is a narrow race in the Super Chats. And the like battle ratio favors the Cowboys, but we're not going to give you an advantage. Outright numbers. Chat Sports has a nearly 100 like lead over the Cowboys Report. So like the video, whichever stream you're watching on, whether it is the Cowboys Report or the Chat Sports stream. We've been live for an hour and 40 minutes, almost on the nose. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed our NFL trade deadline coverage. Please and thank you very much if and when you do so. We appreciate it here. Keep the likes coming. You should like all of our videos here at Chat Sports with the Cowboys, NFL. We got you covered. Do not miss out. Ishmael says, trade Jerry Jones for Tom Downey. Let me know. LOL. Does that mean I get to be owner? Deuces, I'm out of here. See you, boys. My offer stands. 10 years. 10 years. I can win a championship for you. And if I don't, I will sell the team. I will be profiting the money from selling it. But that's my offer. I think it's more than fair. I got to take a big-ass loan out to start paying contracts. I don't have anything in the bank account, but I will do it. I will find some more backers to loan me the money.
I think your next Twitter bit should be doing a Dallas Cowboys franchise or dynasty on whatever they call it on Madden.
I track the picks I'd make each year. The picks I'd make each year are pretty damn good. I'm just going to say. I wanted Brian Branch real bad. Look at that.
I remember when we were going through my hiring process, one of the first questions Tom actually asked me, because I graduated from Alabama.
Yes.
Brian Branch went to Alabama. And he was like, what do you think about Brian Branch? So Tom has definitely been on the Brian Branch train for a long time.
Guy was a dog the whole time. Wasn't that hard to do. 10 years. Otherwise, let's see him and profit the money. I think it's a fair trade for me. And then I'll come back and do the show and have no credibility. Zachary, moving on from Preston equals, I think you mean Aziz or Ojolari. Easy to mix up BJ and Aziz. From the Giants, I can see it. Green Bay does have pass rushers. They were linked to Aziz, which I was a little bit surprised by. They've played a lot of Rashawn Gary. He's been a little bit disappointing compared to last year. They were playing Preston Smith. They haven't played Lucas Van Ness the way I thought they might. Kingsley Enagbare he's a fine, I think he's more of a run stopper than a pass rusher. So if they want a pass rusher, I do think Aziz makes sense. Now they're paying more to do it, but they got something for Preston Smith, and that probably makes it worthwhile. That's what Dallas should do with Brandon Cooks. Whatever you can get for him, just do it. Just move on. It doesn't make sense. He's not going to play for you. So, all right, we got a bit of a lull in the action here. I want you guys to shout out your favorite NFL team. First team we see, we will talk about. So I'll not pay attention to the live chat, and then I'll look down in about 30 seconds. And the first team I see, we will discuss. So shout out your favorite NFL team for me in the comment section of today's show. And in about 10 seconds, as I stretch out my knee that I screwed up in flag football, which I might have to go to the doctor for the first time in a decade. And I don't really want to do it, but it doesn't feel good. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First team I see are the Dolphins from Lamar Madison. Those are fun. We will do those a bunch of times here on the show, so we'll come back to it again later. We got 420 likes, by the way. Nice. Dolphins, I think it's probably time to sell. They're just not good enough this year. They face some tricky decisions coming down the line as well. At minimum, I think trading somebody like Calais Campbell for whatever you can get is probably the right move. I'm not saying trade away like Devon A-Chain or anything. If a team wants Jeff Wilson, awesome. Guys that aren't going to be here in 2025, you don't need them. So Calais Campbell still can help an NFL team. He can do 3-4 defensive end. He can play all across the line, basically. He can almost do 9 to 0 techniques. He's a pretty versatile player, despite being 38 years old. He's playing great. Send him to a contender. Let him go ring chase, because that's not going to happen in Miami. Now, if he wants to stick around, okay, sure, but I'd shop him. If a team wants Emmanuel Ogbah, I'd shop them. I doubt you're going to trade Jalen Ramsey right now, so that's fine. I doubt anyone wants a Jordan Poyer, Marcus May, whatever. But those guys that aren't going to be there in 2025, sell them. I think you should strongly consider selling them. Let's do it again, Chris. Let's do it again. Oh, Super Chat's then that. So good call. Good call. Mark, we're going nowhere this year. I trade Cooks, Turpin, Tank, and Martin. Those players in decline are one-year guys. Jay just changed. He's destroying us. I don't disagree. The injury for DeMarcus Lawrence really complicates things. Probably so, too, does the injury for Brandon Cooks. The Zach Martin contract is not a good thing if you trade him right now. Kind of makes things negative from that angle. So, I think you could. I'm not opposed to trading Turpin. Kevontae Turpin is overall a positive in the return game, but there's at least twice a year that he should go score a touchdown, and he doesn't really ever seem to do that, which is weird how that continues to happen there. But Mark, I appreciate that. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I would sell guys. It's just. Especially Cooks. Get whatever you can for Brandon Cooks. If you can. The issue is you're a bad trading team, so it's probably not going to be very good. Drew DTX, $10. So we'll talk about the Cowboys. you still assume look for a receiver in the draft next year along with Mingo. Imagine we get Wingo from Texas when he's draft eligible. Little Wingo-Mingo dynamic, LOL. Maybe we still go running back in the first round. So if you don't know who he's talking about, he is talking about Texas wide receiver Ryan Wingo, who it's kind of funny how friggin' good this freshman wide receiver class is in college football. Like, you got Jeremiah Smith, who's awesome. You got Ryan Williams, who I think could be a number 1 wide receiver today in the NFL, and Ryan Wingo at Texas. And Wingo's only got 128 yards. He had the huge game against UTSA, and he's kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's going to be a good player long term. Like, that's a hell of a group. Hopefully, though, you aren't drafting top 15 when he comes out, by the way. Receiver is interesting now because you have Lamb, Holbert's under contract, now Mingo's under contract. You've kind of staked your flag into he's a top 3 receiver for us. I want to play him a lot this year because I really don't want to get into, the same time this year going, you don't have a great number 2 receiver again. You got a bunch of 3s still. I don't want to do that. And I'm worried that's what's going to end up happening here. So, but Drew, I appreciate that. The Wingo-Mingo dynamic is also super funny. So I like that quite a bit. Thank you, my friend. All right, let's do it again. Shout out your favorite team. And we will talk about the first one that we see. I'll sip some of my caffeinated water here. Shout out your favorite NFL team. Let's talk about the Cowboys and the Dolphins. So they are off the board. It's not fair to talk about both back to back. First team I see. We will discuss in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Ravens from Jed Fontil. Almost lost it. That was close. Jed Fontil. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Baltimore make another move on defense. They've got Deontay Johnson. I doubt you're going to be able to find a good offensive lineman to upgrade that unit. I think you're fine there. The salary cap space says negative. Spotrac is silly sometimes. They have enough cap space. They're fine. Ignore that part. I would like to see, in an ideal world, another pass rusher come in. Nnamdi Madubuike is a good football player. I like what I've gotten out of Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy, relatively speaking, but I think you're missing one more guy. One more edge. It's not Tavius Robinson, and David Ajabo hasn't played a bunch. Can you find a cheap rental? Wouldn't mind Jadeveon Clowney coming back. I think that one could work out pretty well for you. I wonder if another corner's needed too. Now, you have Nate Wiggins, who I like long-term. I like Marlon Humphrey. Brandon Stevens has been a little bit up and down. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens just kind of stood pat more than anything. But I'd call about players. I do trust that front office to actively be exploring things. So I wouldn't be shocked if they made a move. If I had to guess right now, Ravens do nothing. They do nothing and stand pat. Let's do it one more time. Then we'll remind everyone to sub and trades and super chat menu. Shout out your favorite NFL team for me in the comments section. We'll give you guys another 30 seconds here. And we will discuss the first one that we see. As a reminder, if you put in a $10 super chat, we will talk about your team. That's a guarantee. So let me stretch my back of the knee out here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First team I see is the Eagles. I lost the name already. I see Melvin did it too. Anthony Thompson was the name I saw from the Eagles. So let's talk about Philadelphia, who we normally see do stuff. You know, I never ignore Howie Roseman. I never count him out from doing something. Now, what that something is this year, I don't know. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has been Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They're finally playing more Cooper DeJean. I think that's for the best. I know many Eagles fans looking for another pass rusher. Bryce Huff has been a disappointment, frankly. It's really disappointing, actually. Brandon Graham's old. He can't play the same way he used to. Jalix Hunt is not ready. There was a report, I forget who said it. There was a report that the Eagles could trade away Bryce Huff. From a money perspective, how that would potentially play out, I'd be a bit surprised by it. The acquiring team would owe him nothing. The Eagles would lose. There's no way they trade him. There's no way. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the money right now. There's no way. Unless Spotrack's numbers are wrong, they lose like $20 million of cap space next year by trading him. There's no way that they're going to do that. Unless there's something wonky with that option bonus, which there actually might be as I'm looking closer at these contract details here. I don't know about that one. I would say press X to question is what I would say. It'd be super cheap, though. I'd be unless he's got option bonuses, but one of them already got picked up at $15.58 million. So you'd owe that no matter what, plus there's no way. Unless the option bonus is weird and the acquiring team owes, which I'm pretty sure is not the case, I don't see how the contract is feasible to be traded there. So, I don't know. This is today's Super Chat menu. $10, talk about your team. $20 for a shot. $50 for the beer bong. There has been no NFL trade deadline beer bong yet. Let's see if anyone steps up and delivers. $10, we'll discuss your team. $20 for a shot. Or, by the way, it's not just discuss your team. If there's a player you want to discuss, we can absolutely talk about that as well. Maybe we make that a weigh-in. Talk about a player. Same thing, but talk about a player. I think that's a fun idea. $10, talk about your team. $20 for a shot. $50 for the beer bong. And let me know in the comment section if there's a player you want. If you put the $10 in. People are very mad about my Jonathan Mingo tweet that I sent out. The one where he's jumping through the air. I have a lot of accusing of, you don't know ball if you think that's on the receiver. Guys, I will put this in the live chat, by the way. Both streams, if you guys want to check it out, the play I'm talking about. It's going in on both. The receiver can't play if the floor is lava along the sidelines. That's the opposite. Like, it's not a perfect throw. I've never in my life seen a receiver jump 5 yards out of bounds trying to make a catch, like away from the field. You get your feet down, man. It's like the first job. Anyway, $10. How about your team? $20 for a shot. $50 for a beer bong. If you haven't already, now is the time to subscribe. We are live on both our Cowboys YouTube channel and the Chat Sports YouTube channel. So for all the best NFL coverage, hit that sub button right now. This is not the only live show we will do today. I will not be on it. But tonight, college football playoff rankings come out for the first time all year. Maybe the third most important one. Last one's the most important. Pentultimate matters a lot too. But this one kind of sets the bar for what the committee will eventually not follow that they set up previously. Hit that sub button if you haven't already done so. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. if you're watching on the Chat Sports stream, and youtube.com/Cowboys TV if you're watching on our Cowboys stream, or just hit the big red sub button. That's so much easier to do. We'll be live tonight for the college football playoff rankings, have more videos for you guys tomorrow, and then live red zone stream again on Sunday. All right, let's do this because this is not one we've done before, but I like it. What player who you think might be on the trade block is the whole context here, do you want to talk about next? I will pick a player. One of the first ones that I see. So let me know in the comments of today's show, and I'll pick one for you. Give you guys a little bit extra time. This requires more thought than just the team, as everyone just picks their favorite team. Joe Person, the Panthers reporter, says probably no more Panthers trades coming. So Clowney, Adam Thielen seem unlikely at this time. Let's count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First trade I see is Bryce Young. Well, I guess I just mentioned no Panthers trades. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Kendrick Bourne. Okay, I like that one. Kendrick Bourne is the Patriots wide receiver. I don't know if you have any graphics for him. Bourne has played for New England this year. I would wonder if New England is more inclined to move on from, I know they would love to trade away a Tyquan Thornton. Bourne has only played 5 games this year, in part due to injury. Came back in week 9, had 54 snaps. So I think they value him as one of their better wide receivers, along with probably Jalen Polk, Kayshon Booty, he wants to be called by. Sometimes he's Booty, man. He's actually been fine this year. They'll keep Javon Baker. I think KJ Osborne and Tyquan Thornton are very much available. The production's not good. He's only played 5 games. He is who he is. He's not going to be a superstar wide receiver. If you're looking for someone with okay size who actually didn't test that well, but I think runs faster than his 40 time is, he's fine. I would not be surprised if the Patriots traded away somebody else. I would not be surprised at all. By the way, right on cue, per Diana Rossini, no Bryce Young trade. So that worked out pretty well timing-wise. Cross him off your list. Also of note from Mike Garafolo, Azeez Ojulari updates. Barring a quote-unquote significant pivot, there will be no Azeez Ojulari trade. Now, I think they were asking for a 4th-round pick. And I don't know if they're going to, I don't think they're going to get that. I think they could get a 5th for him. He's had 6 sacks this year. He's already just 2 away from his career high. He is in the final year of his contract. You might be able to get a comp pick for him, but the Giants also might spend money in free agency, so you got to kind of balance those out. I also wouldn't rule this out of this is the last-ditch effort by the Giants to get a better offer. That'd be my I wouldn't rule that out entirely. So we'll see. But I think there are a couple teams that could use a pass rusher that maybe should have a little bit more interest. With the way he's played this year, a 5th-round pick I think is fair for him. Tan Fan. This is for the Cowboys. Are we trading for ETN to get that final piece for us to get Super Bowl? All hail King Jerry. He's obviously trolling. I don't anticipate a Travis Etienne trade by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he is under contract for 2025, but that I don't think Dallas wants to go down the running back route. Jerry didn't want to admit anything about Zeke. It also speaks to the dysfunction of the Cowboys organization, where your head coach suspends the running back for a game, says, hey, discipline issues, he's missing meetings, not being late, which isn't news to anybody. We saw the All or Nothing Amazon documentary where he was late and falling asleep in meetings. That happened. We all saw it. And ownership that day comes out and says, hey, great guy. Awesome person. Just undercuts your head coach's power. Of, yeah, head coach suspended me, but my real boss does not care. What are we doing out there, man? What are we doing? Drew DTX, $20 a shot. There we go. Have one for me, Tom. Any funny drinking stories from you? Saw your Danucci tweet, bring back my king, the Nooch. Honestly, does make sense to bring him into the practice squad. Like, I'm dead serious. He knows the offense. It might as well. He still lives in the area, I'm pretty sure. It's an easy one. $10 to a shot, or $20 for a shot. Let's do it. No funny drinking stories that I should share in a public forum. How about that? Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is available in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, Texas. It is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your guys gets hurt. If the player goes down the first half, does not return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. You can do football, you can do basketball, hockey, college basketball, and more. Here's one of my pro football lineups. Garrett Wilson, more than receiving yards. James Cook, more than yards on the ground. I'll go with the bold Tyrone Tracy, more than yards on the ground as well. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. $10, Dwayne Jackson. We'll talk about the Cowboys then. Providing that Jerry Jones does what he's supposed to in the offseason, come draft time, what should all positions be, or what position should be on the table? What is the most important Dallas draft need in the 2025 draft? It does depend on what you do in free agency. But areas you have question marks at. Running back. I still think wide receiver. Unless Tolbert or Mingo ball out, which I hope so. Backup tight end is now back in the cards because Luke Schoonmaker can't get on the field, which is embarrassing. You might need help on the right side of your offensive line. Again, interior defensive line needs like 3 new players, if not 4. Seriously, that's how bad it is. Because Oates is a free agent, Mozzie's bad, and Linval Joseph, Carlos Watkins, Jordan Phillips are not long-term pieces. You might need 4 new defensive linemen this offseason. Let that sink in for a second. Edge is going to be a question mark. Tank might not be back. Sam Williams, Marshall coming off injuries. Maybe you bring back Golson and Micah and you try it with those 4 guys. That's maybe doable. Linebacker might be a need. Kendrick's a free agent. Clark is not playing. Corner could be a long-term need depending on how you feel about Deron Bland, Kalen Carson, Trayvon Diggs, extensions, and or not paying Diggs. Safety might need help too. It's all of it. Because you have not committed outside of like 5 guys. You haven't really made commitments. So you got a lot of flexibility. Spend some damn money when you have $100 million in salary cap space. Say what, Chris? The super chat made than a trade. Don't tell me. I want to see what it is. I just want to see. I like not having the tweet deck pulled up. Or X deck, whatever the hell it's called. Pro X, whatever. It's tweet deck. $10, we will discuss your team. $20 for a shot. $50 for the beer bong. There has been no beer bong yet. It's interesting. Let's see if we get it. We got a trade, though. And it is a very cheap trade of Tre'Davious White to the Baltimore Ravens. So someone asked about the Ravens. We'd mentioned some corners. They do go after a corner. This is a future 7th in exchange for a future 7th round pick. This is a very rare future 7th pick swap. What I'm saying is the Ravens got Trey White for free. Now, the reason why Trey White, honorable name, is free, he's been bad in LA. He was not playing for the Baltimore Ravens. They had already granted permission for him to seek a trade. He has not been on the field at all, and when he has played, it has not been very good. 9 catches on 13 targets for 151 yards. That's 16.8 yards per catch. That's bad. He wasn't playing good. Now he does not qualify, or he does qualify for the minimum coverage snaps. That is the 6th most yards allowed per catch. Small sample size, admittedly. The number 1 guy just got cut by the Giants, and Nick McLeod. It's not good. The Ravens are going to try the rebuild, the I can fix him route here. So the contract, let me make sure I pull this up here because I think the Rams had already made his contract the minimum. Let me double check this. I want to make sure I'm not spreading misinformation out here. If it ever loads, the contract sites can be a touch slow today. The Rams have paid him 1 year, $10 million, I think. I think that was the contract. Don't worry about that, Chris. You're fine. 1 year up. That was a lot of incentives. That was only 1 year, 5. I'm thinking of somebody else. He's owed a little bit more than the vet minimum. That's it. It's like $1 million, like $1.2 million over the course of the season. That's fine. That's very doable. That's not an issue for any NFL team. He just hasn't been good. Coming off the injuries, not the same guy. We will see on the if Trey White can redeem himself here. Marshall just messaged me. Apparently, Rob Simpy on the Giants stream is going to do 50s apiece to make both of us do beer bongs. So if I have to do a beer bong, it'll be shout out Rob, but we'll see. Marshall will respond. Grade the trade: A, B, C, D, or F. A, B, C, D, or F of the trade. I think it's. I almost might give a W for who cares. I don't know if this really moves the needle for Baltimore. Old Trey White? Hell yeah, it does, baby. Hey, man, you gave 6 in 2020, a 7th in 2026 for Trey White and a 7th in 2027. We got 2027 draft picks being traded here. Like, that tells you how far down the line of value we're at. This is just the Rams saved a couple $100,000. Like, that's all it is. And that's fine. Maybe you can fix him. It's free for all parties involved. That's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Super chats coming in here. Jotman, what's up, Tom? Have the Cowboys made any more dumb moves by the receiver? The Cowboys paid 4th round picks. The Cowboys are suddenly acting like they hate 4th round picks. I need a beer and a bong. Rob did it. We're doing a beer bong. No 4th round pick last year. Junior Filco 4th round pick. Oops. Jake Ferguson 4th round pick. Jabril Cox, Josh Ball, not very good. Reggie Robinson, not good. Tyler Biotis was a good 4th round pick. Tony Pollard was a good 4th round pick. Dorrance Armstrong, Dalton Schultz were great 4th round picks. Ryan Switzer was not. Charles Tapper was not. Dak Prescott sure was. Damian Wilson, Anthony Hitchens lasted a long time in the NFL. That's the last decade of 4th round picks. You get about one a year. And you hit on like 70% of them. That's pretty good. Doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense. Can I get the blue one? Thank you. Santos. Should the Cowboys shop Wilson and Hooker? There's a joke there that I'm not going to make. They should. I also would not be mad if they didn't trade them because I don't know who wants them. I don't know who wants to make a Donovan Wilson trade right now. A Malik Hooker trade. Like, I don't think anyone has interest on that. I don't. You can try, but this is not a good trading team. I don't think they'd be able to make it happen. I don't think that they have the leverage to make it work. Dwayne Jackson. Tom, will Carthage survive against the Texans, Commanders, and Eagles if they go 1-2? Here's my mindset. If he makes it through the Texans Monday Night Football game, which I think he should, given the way it all sets up, even if you lose both games. Because the schedule is not conducive to firing a coach right now. Because you're not going to fire him, I would assume, after the Eagles game. You then play Monday Night Football against the Texans. So it's a short turnaround week going into Washington. Because somehow the NFL schedule makers have made Dallas play a Monday, Sunday, Thursday slate. Which is just, now, 2 of those are at home, but that's not right. You should not be playing 3 games in 12 days. That's not good for the human body, period. You're probably going to fire him on a Monday to Sunday game script. You're not going to do it on a Sunday to Thursday game script. So maybe after the Giants on that Thursday game. But if you beat the Giants, are you going to fire him going into that mini bye? Then you play the Bengals on Monday Night Football. You don't normally see teams fire their coaches on a Tuesday going into a game week. Then you're at Carolina, and then if you're out of it December 15th, if you lose to Carolina, you can't beat the Panthers, then you might get Dennis Allen. Absolutely at that point. Shot, Dwayne. Trent Lawson, thoughts on the Steelers? Interesting trade deadline. Probably a better fit in Pittsburgh than what he was in Green Bay. The Mike Williams trade was a little bit rich for me. It's also just a 5th-round pick, so it'll be a late 5th-round pick, no less. If I were Pittsburgh, don't you wish you had done the DeAndre Hopkins trade? Don't you wish you would have sent the same conditions, a 5th that can become a 4th versus straight up 5th for Mike Williams and Hopkins? I think that's just a better trade. We will do NFL trade deadline winners and losers. I'm just going to do a little bonus section of players who got dealt or teams who made trades early, because the Chiefs are not technically making deadline deals. Boy, aren't they winners anyway? It just looks good for them, doesn't it? You give up Preston Smith for a 7th. You know, is who it is, I suppose, or is what it is, I guess. I'm putting Marshawn Lattimore in that winners section too. Gets to go play for a contender, and it's the Commanders. What a weird time to be alive. I think overall I'm fine with what Pittsburgh did. Mostly fine with what they did. Not a ton of trades that have happened yet, so I wanted to add more losers, but just kind of holding course at this point. So. Steelers are like not winners for me, but not losers. They're just like solid in the end. All right, I owe a beer bong from Rob Simpy, who put in 100 on Giants and split it with us. Me and Marshall both doing one. I like it. If anyone wants to do 100 and make Marshall do one back too, that's fine as well. We can definitely split it up. Let's do it. Beer bong action. It's the hard Mountain Dew seltzers because I want to kick my Mountain Dew previous addiction and not drink as much, so I just do both at once. Works out that way. All right, here we go. Whew. There we go. All right, we are up to 7 trades today. Will we get past the 8.5 number in the next 30 minutes? M for more than 8.5, L for less than 8.5. Let me know in the comments section of today's video. M for more, L for less. Get your votes in for me. M or L. This is the... Oh, did I not pin the poll? Oops. I guess I didn't. Guess I didn't pin it. My bad, guys. Thought I had done it, but I'm an idiot. Great job. No one called me out on it. I'll keep getting an error occurred. What? That doesn't make any sense. I wonder it's not working. All right, I guess I'll just refresh the whole damn thing and make it work that way. Or maybe it did go up and I'm just not seeing it on my end. It did not work. Took away my pin poll too. Interesting. More or less than 8 trades. 8.5 trades today. More. Or if I could type properly, it'd be really helpful for me. I can't get it to pin. One of you guys want to try? It's refusing to work for me. So Stone, can you do it? It's not pinning the poll. I'm not really sure why. So Super Chat's coming in here from Victory Sauce. What are the Texans doing? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. I would like to find offensive line help. They're also paying guys and drafted guys, and there's not normally good offensive linemen on the market. Houston was aggressive, as they should have been this offseason. But I have been pretty darn whelmed by the overall offensive play. And a little bit too frequently at times this year, their offense has kind of become explosive run from Joe Mixon, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, save us. Which is not great. Also, shout out Rob in the live chat. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that, man. Kenyon Green was terrible. Laramie Tunsil has 14 penalties so far this year, which is a shocking figure. Shaq Mason is an older player. Juice Scruggs is fine. Like, CJ Stroud has been under constant duress the past few weeks, and it's showing in his play. Again, there's some similarities to how Dak has played. Less extreme, I think. But, like, Titus Howard's getting smoked. Kenyon Green's been terrible. His backup's not any better. Blake Fisher's been poor when he's had to play. It's not just Kenyon Green. It's a lot of it up front. Now, maybe getting rid of your worst player up front on the offensive line will help things. But it's not gonna fix Laramie Tunsil's penalties, I don't think. Tank Dell's a solid piece. They need Nico Collins healthy. The running game is a little bit too feast or famine for me. I'd love to find an offensive lineman. I don't know what lineman you're gonna be able to get. Jeremy asked me about Zach Martin. I'm like, I don't think they're gonna trade him, but you can call. So you're getting what? Oh, okay, that's not our fault then. Is what it is. Leroy Pearson Jr. Can't pin the poll for whatever reason. Let's talk about coaches minus Bill Belichick. If you hire Ben Johnson, who do you keep on the coaching staff and who would you add? This is about the Cowboys. And my answer here, I think, is good for every NFL team. You cannot force your next head coach to pick so-and-so and keep on their staff. Like, this goes more for the Cowboys because they do it every time they hire a head coach. They mandate somebody that was on their previous staff stay. Don't do that. Let your head coach hire who he wants to hire. Stop doing this Frankenstein's coaching staff where you have always kept somebody from the previous regime. The Cowboys can draw a straight line all the way back to the Jimmy Johnson coaching staff era. That can't keep happening. That's not how you get change. So if my next coach actually wants to keep Al Harris or Lunda Wells, who I like Lunda Wells a lot, he should be your line coach, by the way. Sure, cool, awesome. If he doesn't want to, okay. And if you don't like the coaches that they're suggesting you hire, if you think like it's Bill Belichick is forcing Josh McDaniels, you don't want Josh McDaniels, okay, then don't hire them. Like, let your head coach make the decisions. That's his job. That's what I would do. Dwayne Jackson, $10 super chat. Tom, if Dak is out past the month, the Cowboys are out of contention, would it make sense to shut down Dak and see what they have Trey Lance? Yes, it would. Now, I don't know how you can convince, and this goes for more than just Dak. There are other competitors on your team. I'm not sure how you can convince them to not play once they're healthy. But that is how you have to do it. Like once you're out of it, it doesn't make sense to jeopardize 2025 more. Just let Lance play. Either he's your tank commander, or he can get you a draft pick, or he can be your backup. That's what I think is the best path there. Now, what do you think is the best trade deadline move so far? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. What do you think has been the best trade deadline move at this point? Get your votes in. Mike Williams' Steelers. I don't know about that one. I think the Panthers getting a fourth for Mingo is a pretty good deal. That was a pretty good deal. If we want to go back to Hopkins, yes. I don't know if that's cheating or not, but I kind of feel like that's a viable answer there. Best trade deadline move so far. Let me know in the comments here. See Lattimore to the Commanders, Hopkins, Khalil Herbert, Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Williams. See Mingo in there. Lattimore. Okay. Someone said Max Roger Lions. Yeah, don't get your hopes up there, guys. Don't get your hopes up. Don't think that one's going to happen. Hopkins, Ojulari to Atlanta. If it happens, sure. Marshawn Lattimore, Za'Darius, or Preston Smith / Za'Darius Smith. Okay. Osa to Minnesota makes sense, actually. I actually like that idea a lot for them. Now, the issue with Minnesota is they don't have draft picks. They are so light on draft capital. It's just bad. Best trade that has actually happened so far. We got 22 minutes left. I would like to see Calais Campbell get traded. I might put him in the losers category if he doesn't get dealt. See if the Niners can make a defensive tackle trade happen. Ooh, Baron Browning. I like that one. That was a good trade. I like that one, actually. We'll see if the Bengals make a trade. I wouldn't be overly shocked here, but we got 21 minutes and change. I need to stop putting pressure on my right knee. It's not good for me. Here's today's super chat. Then we'll go through the trades that have happened so far after we take you guys to sub to. $10, talk about your team. $20 for a shot. $50 for a beer bong. Let me know if you guys want to talk about a player instead of your team. That is fine too. It's talk about your team / a player you guys want to talk about. $10 for talk about whatever it is you want to discuss. $20 for a shot. $50 for the beer bong. Shout out to Rob for his beer bong earlier. We can do another one. If we do 100, we'll make Marshall do one too. 100 on here, we will do a beer bong as well. So get those super chats in. And if you want to see your team make a trade, whether it is pro or if it's adding or selling, now is the time to do so. I need to plug my phone in here for afterwards. Excuse me for being weird. Hit that sub button. YouTube.com/Cowboys TV or Chat Sports TV. We're live on both our Cowboys Report channel and the Chat Sports YouTube channel as well. Brian says trade Don Wilson for a free beer bong. Don't disagree. Don't disagree. Hit that sub button. Hit that sub for more free NFL videos. We will have college football playoff rankings revealed live tonight as well. Let's talk the trades that have gone down so far. The Cleveland Browns, a 5th and a 6th in exchange for Za'Darius Smith and a 7th, which I think is about the right trade value. And I like this trade. I'm not anti-Browns on this trade, to be clear, but I do like this trade for the Lions more. Za'Darius Smith is a good pass rusher. He is a solid football player. He will help them replace the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. He's not Aiden Hutchinson. It's just not going to happen. But he helps them. Helps them in a major way. So I do like that deal for the Lions. That's one of my preferred ones so far. The Bengals, in a rare trade for a team that historically does not do trades, Khalil Herbert for a 7th-round pick. That's it. A very cheap trade for the Bengals, who are going to be without Zach Moss. They had a solid backup running back. That is a good trade for the Chicago Bears, or for the Bengals to get Herbert from the Bears. He was not going to play. In Chicago, to get some round pick back, is what it is there. The surprising trade of the day was Jonathan Mingo, who has been terrible in Carolina, has been sent to the Cowboys with a 7th, who cares, for a 4th-round pick. If you had told somebody before the Deontay Johnson trade happened that one of their receivers went for a 4th and one of them went for a 5th and 6th pick swap, you would have said, wow, that's a pretty good return for Deontay Johnson. Not Mingo. I know Mingo's got 2.5 years of team control versus a half year of team control. That's play on the field matters too. And maybe they can fix Mingo. but I don't think there was another NFL team offering anything near a 4th rounder for him. I had previously publicly questioned whether or not Dan Morgan was going to be a good trader. He might have just been bad at it. Well, he fleeced the Dallas Cowboys on paper. Great trade by Carolina. Bad trade by Dallas. The biggest trade of the day, the Washington Commanders getting Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th round pick in exchange for a 3rd, a 4th, and the Saints' initial 6th round pick, which was part of the John Ridgeway trade. So 4 picks involved in the large blockbuster trade that went down there. I don't hate it for either team. But I do like overall getting Lattimore and setting yourself up for success with the Commanders, being aggressive at the right time. The Saints embracing a rebuild like they need to do. Kind of feel like everybody in this trade won, at least in some capacity. Like Lattimore gets to go play for a contender now, which is, you're saying about the Commanders, that makes them a winner. And the Saints get draft picks back that they need. Makes sense. Pittsburgh has actually done stuff today. Multiple trades. Mike Williams for a 5th round pick. Preston Smith for a 7th round pick. Packers just kind of giving up on the Preston Smith trade. Both guys are pretty cheap. I like the Preston Smith trade more than the Mike Williams trade. In the end, I am on the positive side of what Pittsburgh has done today. Then the Ravens acquiring Trey White for a future 7th and also getting a future 7th. Because I was looking 2027, 2026, which is kind of crazy. It's free. He was not playing well or at all with the Rams as of late. Ravens trying to fix him. We'll see if that can happen. We are at 7 right now, right? 7 trades. 15 minutes to go. Will we get beyond the 8 that happened on the trade deadline last year? M for more, L for less. Patriots are not interested in giving away players like Christian Gonzalez, Kyle Duggar, Keon White. No surprise there. Eagles seemingly set to stand pat. So 8.5 trades today. M for more, L for less with 15 minutes to go. Kind of feels like it's going to end up being less than. We'll see. We'll see. I would hope we get the more than, because that's fun if they go down that.
You think we get any that kind of leak in after? Like that got put in, but then they actually get leaked?
Normally we don't for the NFL because the media is frankly better than the MLB media, if I may be so bold to say that. MLB, I've seen trades 25 minutes after the deadline. And it's like, how? How do you guys not know this? Is the deadline just a myth? It doesn't matter? But with 15 minutes left, I guess 14 minutes left, I don't know about that one there, Jim. We'll see. Get your votes in. M for more, L for less. I hope we get some trades, but I don't know if we're going to get them the way that I would like to find a way to get them. I'm just prepping some post stuff here. Some more Super Chats going on Cowboys. Get that here in a second as well. I want at least one more trade because I don't know who my third loser is for the trade deadline. I don't know who I want to put there. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Like, I just don't know. I just don't know yet. Get those votes in for me in the comments section. M for more, L for less. I would like 2 more trades at least. Josine Anderson says the Cowboys and Saints are done, which isn't overly surprising. I just don't know why the Cowboys aren't selling. Robert Simmons. Once again, Jerry Jones has not learned his lesson and failed as a GM. Yeah, I agree. I'm putting the Bengals on the loser side if they don't make any more trades. I like the Herbert trade. But you can't link yourself to defense, and do nothing the entire time. So we're putting them in there. Sorry, Bengals. Yeah, I'm fine with that. We'll put them both in there. Just don't build it yet. Look, Jerry's not. He doesn't get. He gets to try to play GM, and it never works. He never does anything, and it is highly frustrating. As far as I'm concerned, it needs to be better, and there needs to be more. Otherwise, it's just they don't learn lessons. They never admit their mistakes. It is highly frustrating, as far as I'm concerned. So maybe we get one more trade. Sure would be nice, but I don't know if we're going to. I am losing hope the further along we go here. So we'll see. We shall see. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate your $5 super chat there. Very kind of you, my friend. Trey White, the last trade. We got 11 minutes and change to go here. We will see if we can get one more deal. As we wait, let's play my favorite game. Shout out your favorite NFL team, and we will discuss the first one that we see on today's show. So let me know what NFL team you want to discuss here. I'm going to break it down. Deadline winners, losers, mostly scripted. Adjustments to come if we get another trade. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First team I see are the Rams from Jordan. The Rams have been interesting. And we'll play this again after this, by the way. They have made a trade. They dealt away Trey White, which isn't a surprise. They have been allowing him to find a trade partner for weeks now, and he finally found one. And they were viewed as bigger sellers a week and a half ago. Since then, they've picked up 2 very solid wins, Vikings and Seattle. And now they are right back in the midst of the NFC playoff picture. Like, right back in the midst of it. And I would like to find a way to make that happen. Like, I think if anything they're going to buy. Now, at this point, they're not going to. They're not going to trade Matthew Stafford. They're not going to trade Cooper Kupp. But they can ride things out. They can be patient. And see if they can make a little run here. But I think the firing sales, not going to happen. All right, let's play it again. Since I kind of think we're done here. I don't know if we're getting any more. That's frustrating. I want more trades. People wanting trades is one of the losers, by the way, today. I wanted more trades. So, shout out your favorite NFL team, and we will discuss the first one that we see. I'll give you guys a couple extra seconds here to refresh it. As I just wanted a little bit more. I wanted to get the more than. Like, we got all that stuff in the morning. Lattimore before right as we were going live, and then nothing. So, all right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First team I see, the Bucks. That's a team that, in a bubble, I bought. I think wide receiver and corner are areas of concern for them because they're so banged up at wide receiver, and I don't think their cornerback play has been particularly good. Zion McCollum has actually played well. Jamel Dean has been banged up, and that's caused major issues in the secondary. I don't love the safety room minus Antoine Winfield, so I probably should put DB and not just corner in there. They've had issues against passing defenses all year, as a passing defense all year. I don't love the play of KJ Britt. I would have loved they called a back 6 player, or I guess back 7 still. But they're also 4 and 5, so maybe they don't want to buy, and that makes a bit more sense to me. Dwayne Jackson, were you surprised Higgins did not get dealt? No, I am not. Not at all. They were never going to. And I have tried very hard on our Chat Sports streams to make clear that they're not going to trade him. They don't want to trade him. What I think they should be doing is maybe even paying him. Now, he is a fancy sports car that unfortunately spends more time in the mechanic shop than on the field, but when he's on the field, he can go from 0 to 60 in an instant. He is explosive as all get out. But they weren't going to trade him. They've rejected overtures in the past. They want to win with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. They handle things poorly when it comes to overall play and contracts. I think they need defensive help. I think the Bengals should have bought more than just Khalil Herbert and added defense help because they need defense help. That defense is bad in Cincinnati. It's bad. All right, love this one, Chris. Great job here. Any more trades to come? Y for yes, N for no. 7 minutes left to go in the NFL trade deadline. Y for yes, N for no in the comments section of today's video. Y for yes, N for no. I see mostly no's in there. I'd love to get one more. I really want to trade Calais Campbell. I think Miami should do right by that. That would help some teams. I think the Niners could have interest too. Niners, Bengals, Texans not making moves when they're supposed to contenders. Yeesh. Got to do better there. Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's video. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. It is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. It makes getting those tickets even easier thanks to Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. The Game Time guarantee is this: if you find tickets with the same price or better, or the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's promo code CHATSPORTS over at GameTime.co. The link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Terms do apply. But again, create your account. Redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports. Promo code ChatSports over at GameTime.co. K57 Storytime Original has 2 super chats, one of which says Jace Horn to Seattle. Did not happen. There is a fake Ian Rappaport account that said that, but the Panthers have not traded J.C. Horn to Seattle. So, unfortunately, my friend, I think you got by some fake news on the old platform out there. So, but I think Horn's going to stay. I think you give him a little bit more time on that front to see what he's able to do. We are inside of 4 minutes to go until the NFL trade deadline. I trust we'll get a tweet from Schefter and/or Rapp saying, no more trades, we're done. But, let's see. All right, the Browns, 5th and a 6th. The Lions, Za'Darius Smith, and a 7th-round pick. I do like Za'Darius. I think that's a good trade by the Lions. That's one of my preferred trades so far. I do like the Bengals adding Khalil Herbert. I am a fan of that move. But I would have liked, if the Bengals just only add a running back for a 7th-round pick, when that defense is doo-doo, I don't really know what their overall game plan is. I think for the Bengals, this kind of becomes, if you're in for a penny, let's go in for a pound. Let's not just add Khalil Herbert. I'm looking at this defense and going, all right, linebackers aren't playing great. The secondary's not playing very good. You've got one good pass rusher. You have 46 pressures this year from Trey Hendrickson. your next 3 guys combined have 36. Your next 4 guys have 45. You are a one-man show along your front. You got to go find a pass rusher if you want to win this year. It can't just be Trey Anderson. That's a hell of a stat, by the way. That's kind of unbelievable, frankly. Like, you've got to, if you're in for Khalil Herbert, you got to be in for more than that. Houston, I don't like where you're at either. The Cowboys, this is the second most valuable pick given up today, is for Jonathan Mingo. Why? 2.5 years of team control, cool. He was a divisive prospect coming out. I had him barely inside my top 100. I was not alone on that. I know other NFL teams did. Cowboys had him top 50. I don't know how you could watch what he's done so far and go, yeah, that's the same guy. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, the big trade, though, was Marshawn Lattimore, and I'll be honest, I kind of like it for all parties involved. Lattimore gets to go play on a good team, and we're saying that about the Commanders, which tells you a lot. The Saints got 3 draft picks back. Now, the 5th, 6th is, it's going to be an early 5th, a late 6th. It's close to a 3rd and a 4. So that's still pretty good for Lattimore with where he is in his career, with his contract stuff. The Saints are embracing the rebuild. That's the way I take that, and that's a good thing for them. It's time. It's past time. The Steelers were the most active team today. Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick, which I wouldn't have loved. I don't love. Boy, if they had just gotten DeAndre Hopkins. Oof. Preston Smith, though, I do like for a 7th-round pick. That's super cheap for near the vet minimum, and you're not paying him much. Like, I like it. I like it. Something tells me he'll be better in Pittsburgh than he was in Green Bay. The Ravens, in a bit of a surprise, adding Trey White, who was very much available for a future 7th in exchange for a future 7, which is hilarious. So we are now seconds away from the trade deadline technically ending. We will wait until we get the final word of no more trades. But as of right now, it doesn't feel like we're going to. You can just go to sub, probably. Makes the most sense here, Chris. I don't know if you're going to get any more deals. Every now and then we get one trade right after. We'll see if it happens. We will have deadline winners and losers, by the way, here for you on the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Rap gave it's the 4 p.m. deadline. They have not happened, but that doesn't mean they haven't been reported. They can get in before here and not have any more trades, and still have trades announced afterwards. So it's not technically over, but we'll see. I don't know if we'll get any more. And as it stands right now, it was the less than. Only 7 trades on deadline day today, which would be a little bit disappointing there. William Cook, the Commanders are all in. Yes, they are. And they should be. You have a rookie contract quarterback who's playing incredible football. You know your defense is not actually that good. You've benefited from playing bad opposing teams, and you're kind of maximizing from that area. We do have one trade at the buzzer. One trade at the buzzer. At least one trade at the buzzer. Khalil Davis from the Houston Texans to the 49ers for a 2026 7th-round pick. So we do have a trade here at the buzzer, as minimal as it is, as journeyman defensive tackle Khalil Davis is now going to the San Francisco 49ers for a future 7th-round picks. HotDog2280 says, that's a nobody trade. Yes. He's played 172 snaps all season long. That's a nobody trade. But it is a trade, and it brings it to 8. So the door is still ever so slightly open for a potential last-minute second buzzer. Davis was this team's number 4 defensive lineman as the Texans move on for a 7th-round pick. The Giants are not going to trade officially now Azeez Ojulari. And that's it there. So, Khalil Davis. When we get that in, we can go to it. The 4 p.m. Eastern Time trade deadline has come and gone. Now we wait if there is a second buzzer here, which there may or may not be. We shall see. I don't think there's going to be one, but that should say. Can you message Sam and say he's a DT? He's not an edge. He's not an edge. That's the trade deadline buzzer trade there. Khalil Davis for a future 7th-round pick, which is it's very much a nothing trade. I don't think we're gonna get another buzzer beater. I think that's the only one we're getting. We're not getting he hits it at the buzzer and then they review it and there's a half second left or a second left and they hit another buzzer beater. I don't think we're gonna get to a backup defensive lineman in Khalil Davis going to San Francisco. I said that they need defensive tackle help. This is not major help in the end, but it is something that happened. So Davis to Houston for a 7th-round pick. I think you're good to do the trade deadline recap once you guys are ready. You guys want to review? Hit that sub button if you haven't already. We will do trade deadline winners and losers next here. Schefter says one final trade. So I think that's it. We tap out at 8 trades today. Some buyers, some sellers, some teams you thought would be sellers were buyers, some teams you thought would be buyers were sellers. Especially in Texas. Ends up working out that way. Texans get a future 7th for Khalil Davis. That is the final one at the buzzer. That will be, in theory, a late 7th-round pick. So Houston was apparently just no longer interested in going down that particular path. As Dallas makes a surprising move, Pittsburgh makes multiple moves. They carried this year's trade deadline. Shout out Pittsburgh. 2 trades. A fourth of the trades involved Pittsburgh today. Thank you, Pittsburgh, for making it worthwhile. Everybody else, do better next year, folks. Do better. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. We will break down our trade deadline winners and losers here in just a second. But again, subscribe. We're not done with this. Again, we'll have the trade deadline winners, losers. If you can't stay up for that or you need to go down, whatever, that's fine too. Cowboys news items as well. Jordan Phillips cut by the Dallas Cowboys. So he is out of here as well. So Andrew Booth, Jordan Phillips, both have been waived by the Dallas Cowboys. We'll break that down on our Cowboys channel here in a little bit. Where are we at on this post-broad stuff here? Trade deadline stuff? Okay. We will have trade deadline winners here in a minute. Later tonight, we will also have on the Chat Sports stream, we will also have college football playoff rankings revealed. That is the first CFP rankings of the season. We will break that down for you guys. I will not be on. We'll have our college football crew handle it. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in the evening. It's a busy day here in the sports landscape, and that's all we really care about on Chat Sports, because that's why it's called Chat Sports. So again, if you haven't already, you want more free NFL, college football videos as well, hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We have tapped out at 8 trades in today's show, on today. Some winners, some losers. We'll break that down. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all of our show coverage. Hope you enjoyed the simulcast side of things. You'll have to do some line breaking there, obviously, but it's not a big deal. Patriots make no trades. Titans make no more trades that I was a little bit surprised by. I was hoping we were going to get more trades than just the 8, and that 2 of them, the last 2, weren't 7th-round trades. That was a little bit disappointing. All things, hoping for more. Just hoping for a little bit more on that front. But again, we'll break down the deals that have happened. We'll do trade deadline. It's fine. We have to start filming this here. Trade deadline winners and losers in just a second. I've got in total for you guys today. Make sure I'm tracking my numbers correctly here. 5 winners. Then I cheated and added 4 more, and 4 losers as well. So we'll get to that here in just a minute. We will stay live on our Cowboys channel for this as well. But this is more of a chat sports channel stream here. People upset about their teams not making trades. I get it. What are we waiting on here? Okay. We'll break down 5 winners plus 5 more I cheated for, and a bunch of losers as well, which I'm whelmed. I'm very disappointed, frankly, with this trade. I don't think it was a great trade deadline. I was hoping for more. I was hoping for more action, more movement, more than just 4 trades or 8 trades, and a bunch of them being deals that didn't really happen. Like, is what it is. It was a bit disappointing overall for me. Cowboys fans, by the way, before we break down our trade deadline winners and losers, we will have an additional Cowboys Report YouTube video, so stay tuned for that in a little bit. Let's go to the one-word reaction to start, like it is in the script. And then we'll go through all the trades here and everything. We'll do trade deadline winners and losers coming up here in about 15 seconds, so make sure you guys are locked in. The 2024 NFL trade deadline is over. Before we get into the winners and losers, give me your one-word reaction. I'm going to take the most obvious one. I thought it was pretty boring. Let me know your one-word reaction to the 2024 NFL trade deadline. Let me know in the comments section of today's show what your one-word reaction is to the 8 trades that went down today. Let's start with some winners on NFL trade deadline day. Focusing on the deadline itself, the Carolina Panthers are first up for me. And they made 1 trade today. I thought it was a really good trade for Carolina. We will talk about the other side of it later on. To get a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. I think that is the best possible trade Carolina could have gotten for Mingo. He has not played well this year. He has been a non-factor. He had fallen down to wide receiver 5 for the worst team in football. And I get he's got extra years of contract control. To somehow get substantially more than what they gave up / got for Deontay Johnson, that's a win as far as I'm concerned for the Carolina Panthers. So it's a lost season. It's a good trade. Next up on the winners, they're not ranked, just the order I put them in. The Detroit Lions. Look, the Lions were an obvious, you got to add pass rush help team. Everybody knew that. So to get Za'Darius Smith, makes sense to me. You get a 7th-round pick back. Whatever. A 5th and a 6th is what they gave up. Those are 2 day 3 draft picks. The 6th and 7th are going to be not that far apart. Call it a premium 5th-round pick is what you really gave up in the end. I like that move. Smith's a good football player. He's had a solid season for the Cleveland Browns. He's been a regular around double-digit sack player. So to add him to your roster to help replace Aiden Hutchinson, that's a smart move because the Lions simply could not afford to come out of this trade deadline without getting a pass rusher. They had to get one. They are too good to not go be aggressive. They found one. And I think at a pretty fair trade cost as well. I don't mind that trade at all for the Browns. I just like it a lot more for the Lions. So who won this year's NFL trade deadline? Let me know in the comments section of today's show, at the pinned comment, actually, of today's video. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. While this year's NFL trade deadline was frankly pretty boring, I thought you had a couple of early traders before the deadline itself who made moves that I liked. The Chiefs. Has there been any better trade, early returns only, than the DeAndre Hopkins trade? He cooked last night. I was very impressed by him. He played awesome. The Chiefs had a very strong showing. Josh Uche I like as well. I love what the Chiefs did. No moves today, but I couldn't not mention the Chiefs and Hopkins. I think that was like the best move made the past month or so. I like the Bills adding Amari Cooper, if he can get healthy again. The Ravens added Deontay Johnson, which was good. Trey White is whatever. The Titans, I thought, made a great trade of Ernest Jones IV. They got way more than what they gave to get him in the first place. That's a win. The Vikings got Cam Robinson on the cheap. I don't care about Cam Akers. They needed a left tackle. They found an option, the best one out there. I think the teams that made trades early certainly benefited. And I think that they are in better shape than what they were previously. I liked what some of these teams that made trades days ago, weeks ago. They aren't like technically deadline winners because they weren't made on the deadline, but I can't not mention them as part of it. They did too good of a job overall. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. Check out their new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats. So don't waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation designed to save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You can use the all-in pricing feature. It shows your total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. The seat views give you a panoramic, almost like a live photo. Move your camera or your phone around. You can see the actual view from your seat. It's an awesome feature. It's one of my favorite ones. So you know where you're sitting, what your view looks like before you actually buy. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. But again, create that account, use the code, go to GameTime.co, download Game Time today because time is it? It's game time. Next up on the deadline winners, I'm just going to give the Marshawn Lattimore all parties involved as a winner. This was by far your biggest, most noteworthy borderline blockbuster trade of the day. It was Marshawn Lattimore going to the Washington Commanders with the Saints getting back multiple picks. Commanders also got a 5th-round pick, by the way. Saints got a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, and a 6th in that trade. They got a lot back for a player who is getting up there in age. They're kind of accepting the fact that they're going to rebuild, all of that in between. The Commanders are... Lattimore's a winner because he gets to go play for a contender now. The Commanders are winners because they just are being viewed as contenders now. Like, he gets to go play for a winner. And we said that about Washington. When was the last time we said that? It's been a very long time. The Saints, I like it because they got 3 picks. They got 3 draft picks back. Now, one of them was their own 60 to get it, so cancel it out. But you got a 3rd and a 4th. I think that's good return on value for them. They were asking for a 3rd. I think they got a little bit of a bidding war going. I'm not mad at anything on these. I think that's good for the Commanders, good for the Saints, good for Lattimore. Commanders, they might be a Super Bowl contender, but they're a playoff contender. It's accurate. I wasn't 100% sold on putting the Pittsburgh Steelers in here, but I'm going to do it anyway because they kind of carried this year's trade deadline. They made 2 trades. Now, I will say, I really, really think they should have done the 4th, that's what it amounts to, for DeAndre Hopkins and not the 5th for Mike Williams, but they needed a receiver. They got the best one that was available that was actually going to get moved. So, like, they weren't going to Cooper Kupp, Metcalf, sorry. And I do like the Preston Smith trade. It's a 7th-round pick. It's the vet minimum. You're not really paying much anything. I probably wouldn't have put Pittsburgh on here if it wasn't for the Preston Smith trade, to be quite honest. But I think he's a good fit in that 3-4 defense. It adds pass rush depth in case Nick Herbig stays banged up or Alex Highsmith goes down again. They've got pass rush ability. Williams fits with Russell Wilson pretty well. It was a bit of an overpay on the Williams versus Hopkins trade, but not that bad at all. Now, if you want the best NFL coverage, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button right now. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Free Cowboys videos free NFL vids, YouTube.com/chatsportstv. We're simulcasting on the Cowboys and Chat Sports channel. And we're going to talk Cowboys in a second. So I kind of went Ron Burgundy there. Free NFL videos, YouTube.com/chatsportstv. The first loser is the Dallas Cowboys. You are not a good team. We know that. Everyone knows that. So to trade a 4th-round pick that very much has the possibility of being, pick 107 for Jonathan Mingo, it's just not good. Nobody else was going to have interest in Jonathan Mingo for a 4th-round pick. I don't believe anybody had that. If you had told somebody going into today, hey, or going into 2 weeks ago when they traded Deontay Johnson, hey, one Panther receiver, between Johnson and Mingo went for a 4th, one went for a 5th, 6th pick swap, you would have said, wow, that's pretty good return value for Deontay Johnson. No, it's for Mingo. He hasn't been good in the NFL. And trading for him in general, okay, he's got 2.5 years of team control. You're buying low, that's fine. You didn't buy low. You bought high. And how are you going to do this Brandon Cooks when he's back, Mingo, Tolbert, Lamb rotation? Who are you not playing? And if it's the veteran, why didn't you just trade him? Or at least try to, which I don't think that they tried to. Maybe we'll find out whether they did. I hope so. If it's the young guys, why are they not playing anyway? Who is the biggest loser from this year's 2024 NFL trade deadline? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. The Bengals are next up here. Now, look, they made a trade. And I will say, I do like the Khalil Herbert trade. It is a 7th-round pick. It is a player I've liked for a long time. I think fits what the Bengals needed. It helps them out with Zach Moss out for at least the rest of the regular season. Sounds like they're not very good. It makes sense for the Bengals to add Khalil Herbert. To not address the defense at all. And the defense is terrible. I don't get it. You really couldn't do a 6th-round pick for Preston Smith? You weren't going to move the early day 3 pick for, Azeez Ojulari? You couldn't find a DT trade partner? For the Bengals specifically, this feels like if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. And they're in for the penny. But to not address the defense, no half measures in Cincinnati. And look, they don't make trades, period. They made one. This should have been the year to do more than that. Houston Texans also on this list, kind of in a similar. They did make a trade. The Niners got a defensive tackle, journeyman Khalil Davis, who has been their 4th DT in Houston, basically, for a 7th-round pick, next year's 7th-round pick, by the way. Okay? Houston's got offensive line issues. I don't know what they were really going to be able to do, but there were a lot of upset Texans fans in our live chat, so I'll put that in there too. The biggest loser is this. It was the fans like myself, like producer Chris, like EP Sam and Stone, everyone else here, that wanted trades. We got 8 of them. And that's the same we got last year, but I would have preferred more trades. You had Trey White for a future 7th swap. Like, does that move the needle for you at all? Does that interest you? Does that make oh yeah, that's the deal we were missing out on. That's what we were waiting. It was a future 7th-round pick swap. Does that really? Do we care about that? Frankly, do we? Khalil Davis for a 7th. No. I wanted more. I still think this trade deadline needs to be another week or two back. That's what I think it needs to be. So before we go, one last question. Who should have been traded that wasn't today? Drop that player name for me in the comment section of today's show. Before we sign off here, for the best NFL coverage all year long, hit that sub button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We will have the trade deadline winners and losers up in a little bit on the Chat Sports channel. Cowboys channel, stay tuned. A couple cuts have been made by Dallas. We'll break those all down here in a little bit. Don't go anywhere, and make sure you guys are subscribed.